we drafted Tim Duncan, I invited him to my home to get ready for the season. He was learning so much.
That doesn't count. You were out.
The roses are out, Timmy, not the daisies. So one day, you brought this into my home.
It's not something I'm proud of.
I calmly explained how Edge Pro Gel protects better than foam because it has 8 rich lubricants.
David sure know how to make a guy feel comfortable.
More lemonade, Tim?
Edge Pro Gel. Save your skin.
The roses, Tim, are out of bounds.
Go with the gnomes. The gnomes can be out of bounds.
No.
83 years, Florida and Georgia have engaged in a bitter football border war. As a Florida player, Steve Spurrier's national title hopes were dashed by the Dogs, and Emmitt Smith never beat Georgia. But Bulldog Heisman legends Frank Sinkwich and Herschel Walker were undefeated against the hated Gators. Last season, Georgia ended a 7-year string of futility against Florida, reigniting the passion in one of college football's great rivalries. This season, the Gators are getting defensive about their performance with the best front 7 in college football. They rely on an intimidating physical presence to dominate opponents and keep Florida in the national title hunt. The Bulldogs are taking the offensive. Quarterback Quincy Carter and multiple threat Champ Bailey provide the fireworks as Georgia looks to upset the Gators for the 2nd straight year. It's Florida and Georgia. NASDAQ College Football on CBS Sports. Sunset on the St. Johns River here in Jacksonville last night, the party began. Georgia supporters stoking the flames of the rivalry, and the Florida faithful seeking revenge for last year's defeat. Outside the stadium, the usual carnival-like atmosphere as the fans share in one of the great celebrations in college football, known simply as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. It's the Florida Gators versus the Georgia Bulldogs. And we welcome you to Jacksonville on a beautiful afternoon. Here come the Georgia Bulldogs, ranked number 11 with a record of 6-1, their only loss at home to Tennessee. And the Florida Gators, also with a record of 6-1, their only loss in overtime at Tennessee. And Tony George, whom we featured on the pregame show doing the strut, to let his sister know that he is thinking of her as he takes the field. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to NASDAQ College Football on CBS Sports. I'm Sean McDonough, and it's great to have you with us. Here in the 90s, most of the attention and great rivalries for Florida has been on their games with Florida State and also with Tennessee. But Steve Spurrier has been a part of the Florida program as a player and coach, and he says Georgia is still the greatest rival.
It's the biggest game in usually the season for the University of Florida. Historically, Georgia's been the one that has knocked us out of all the conference championships that we had a chance to win prior to 1990. And you look back, they knocked us out last year.
I'm joined as always by the coach, Terry Donahue. Coach, this is a great rivalry. This season is also a very important football game.
Well, Sean, no question. This is a big elimination game for both of these teams. Whichever team wins, they're going to be right in the heart of the Southeastern Conference race and possibly the national championship race. Whichever team loses, they're all but eliminated from both of those races. Florida has had 2 weeks to get ready for this game because of a bye in the schedule. They've healed up mentally, emotionally, physically. They're ready to play today. Last year, Georgia snuck up on them. This year, they won't.
And for Georgia, they're led by their true freshman quarterback, Quincy Carter.
Well, Quincy Carter is the best quarterback as a freshman that I've seen all year long. He's got great wheels on him. He can run the ball. He can throw well. He is the big play guy for Georgia. However, the key for Georgia today is their offensive line. They have got to protect Quincy Carter better than they did against Tennessee a couple weeks ago. He was under duress the entire day. He never could get his rhythm. If Georgia can protect Carter today, Georgia has a chance to move the ball against the Florida defense. If they can't, it's going to be a long day for the Bulldogs.
And down on the sideline, soaking up this great atmosphere, here's Mike Mayock.
Thank you, Sean. I guess it's appropriate here on Halloween that we're discussing what people are going to wear. Well, in the case of both of these teams, they held team meetings called by the captains earlier in the week to discuss their attire. Now, at Florida, they're going white on white for the first time since 1993, and ironically enough, a loss at home to Auburn. None of the seniors were around then, so they didn't care. They just wanted to change the pace. For Georgia, different story. They wore their black trousers last year in the Outback Bowl against Wisconsin and beat them 34-6. So, Sean, I guess we've got a battle of the pants on Halloween here in the SEC.
Indeed we do. 85 degrees as we approach kickoff. Georgia leads the all-time series. There's actually a dispute about how many times they have played. Florida has won 7 of the last 8, but Georgia ended that string last year 37-17 behind 4 touchdowns from Robert Edwards, who's now in the National Football League with the New England Patriots. Very little chance of rain here this afternoon. Perfect weather for the sellout crowd. Georgia won the toss and deferred. Hap Hines bounced it down the field and picked up by Javon Kearse, who's their starting outside linebacker, one of the up men on the kickoff return team, and he brought it out to the 28-yard line. So Florida dressed in all white on offense to start the game, led by Doug Johnson, the junior from Gainesville, Florida, who celebrated his 21st birthday earlier this week on Wednesday. Even though the numbers weren't eye-popping in the last outing 2 weeks ago against Auburn, Coach Spurrier said he was quite pleased with the way Johnson played. As Gator fans well know, Spurrier doesn't throw around compliments to the quarterbacks lightly. Eugene McCaslin starts at tailback today, making his first career start as a Gator. And he gets the handoff on first down through a big hole. McCaslin out to the 44-yard line. Tackled by Kirby Smart. It's a gain of 17 for the junior from Tampa.
Sean, Florida came right out with the draw play to McCaslin. He is a powerful back. I've watched this guy since his freshman year. He's never really had a chance to play much at Florida because of a variety of reasons, being in trouble, being injured. But today, in his first start ever, that's an impressive first run.
He's had injuries and off-the-field problems and has limited his playing time over the years. Johnson's first pass caught by the fullback, Rod Frazier. He doesn't touch the ball very much. That's his 3rd catch of the year, and he's had just 1 carry. McCaslin and Frazier the backfield. Nafis Kareem and Travis McGriff the wide receivers. McGriff's one of the best in the nation. Aaron Kinney is the tight end. And it's a new-look offensive line. New starters this week are Yarbrough at center and Blackshear at right guard. And Cooper Carlisle, who had been starting at guard, moves out to tackle. Quick toss to Nafis Kareem. He follows his blockers nicely and has another first down in Georgia territory at the 38-yard line. Dustin Luckey made the tackle after a gain of 12. The Gators impressively on the move against this Georgia defense. Stroud, Leroy, Snellings, and Cochran up front. Adrian Hollingshed, the middle linebacker between Orontis Grant and Dustin Luckey. Champ Bailey, one of the best players in the nation. Smart, who just made the last tackle, is playing with a dislocated shoulder. And Jeff Harris is a Jacksonville native who's returned home today. Another short pass to Nafis Kareem, and this time he's smothered by the Bulldog defense. Adrian Hollingshed and Marcus Stroud combined to take down Kareem after a gain of 2.
Sean, Steve Spurrier told us he wanted to play with faster tempo today than he has in the first half of the season. He wants Doug Johnson, the quarterback, to speed things up. The offensive linemen make their calls quicker. He wants tempo this afternoon, and he's gotten it so far in the game.
Those numbers you saw impressive, but their scoring is down. Turnovers have been a problem for the Gator offense. That pass caught, and the ball came out, but they're ruling the receiver Nafis Kareem was down. And the ball came out as he lunged for first down yardage at the 28. It appears with that lunge, he might have picked up the first down. It's very close and will require a measurement.
Well, Nafis Kareem here just runs a little underneath route against the zone of Georgia. They get him the ball, and he does a good job here knowing where the first down is, trying to get the ball across. The ground cannot cause a fumble. It's a good call by the official.
Well, the Georgia fans don't think so. They showed the replay on the big screen. And the Dog fans booed when they saw the replay. Coach Spurrier calls the plays, as does Jim Donnan, the head coach at Georgia, who serves as his own offensive coordinator. 3rd down and 1. Johnson's 4 out of 4 for 27 yards. Threw that last one into traffic off his back foot. That sometimes makes Spurrier nervous. No backs in the backfield. Johnson a keeper. And he follows the offensive line surge for a 1st down. Johnson with decent size at 6'2", 217 pounds.
And that really was vintage Steve Spurrier. Spread the field, put wide receivers all across the field, and all of a sudden just let the quarterback sneak it for the 1st down. You thin out the defense that way. Steve's been doing that for years.
An impressive opening drive. They started at their own 27. They've marched to the Georgia 25. 4 wide receivers into the game. Johnson down the middle, caught inside the 10. Touchdown, Travis Taylor.
Travis Taylor runs an inside breaking route against this Georgia zone defense. One of the things when you're attacking Georgia, they're going to be soft in the middle. And that's exactly where Travis Taylor ends up, in the middle of that defense. Kirby Smart, number 16, misses the tackle there. Should have made that tackle to prevent the touchdown.
And Jeff Chandler added the extra point. Taylor has 20 receptions this year. 8 of them have gone for touchdowns. That one a 25-yarder. It has already been a nice homecoming for Travis Taylor, the sophomore from Jacksonville, on the receiving end of the 25-yard pass, capping the 73-yard drive in just over 2.5 minutes. And now the freshman Jeff Chandler, also a Jacksonville native, kicks off. And an excellent kick with the breeze at his back, out the back of the end zone over the head of Patrick Pass.
Sean, one of the things you have to question right away is the bye that Florida had. You know, you get time when you get an extra week preparation. You get a lot of reps. You get rest. And right now, to me, Florida looks quicker than Georgia does. They look very fresh. And Steve Spurrier made a real conscious effort to freshen up his team last week.
Made the changes in the offensive line, and they played well on the drive. Quincy Carter, the true freshman, but he is 21 years old, back on the football field after spending 3 seasons in minor league baseball in the Chicago Cubs organization. You saw his passing numbers last week against Kentucky in their narrow win. In Lexington, he was also their leading rusher in that game. Orlandis Gary takes the pitch, and he stopped at the 24 after a gain of 4. Not much of a ground game this year for Georgia. Gary is their leading rusher for the season with only 268 yards coming in.
Georgia lines up in the shotgun formation and just runs a little quick pitch to the side of the field with Gary, and the support by Florida is not real quick, but the speed of the inside defense is good. Gary makes a nice move, but there Rutledge, Johnny Rutledge, number 58, he's there to make the tackle.
Braga is in attendance. Voted the best mascot in college sports a few years ago by Sports Illustrated. Orlandis Gary ships. And Carter throws on the run. Very close to a 1st down is Michael Greer. He's back in action after being knocked out of action in the loss to Tennessee on a late hit by Raynoch Thompson. Orlandis Gary and Ronnie Bradley open to the backfield. Small is their leading receiver. Greer a possession receiver. Brown on his way to the NFL at tight end, as is the left tackle Matt Stinchcomb, likely to be a 1st-round pick. Chris Terry, the other tackle, is also highly regarded, and he's another Jacksonville native. There are 3 natives of Jacksonville on this Georgia team. 3rd down, less than a yard. Carter in trouble, and he didn't get there. Lost yardage. Carter's a big man at 6'3", 225 pounds, but he got driven back by Tim Beauchamp and Mike Peterson.
Well, the charge of the Florida defensive line was really strong. They lined someone up on the center's nose, the guard's nose. There was just nowhere for Quincy Carter to go on the quarterback sneak.
There's Bob Stoops, the 38-year-old defensive coordinator for Florida. Wing pop punch, and it's not a good one. Under a rush off the side of his foot. He does get a good bounce. And it'll roll dead at the 31-yard line. A 40-yard punt with help from the bounce. Florida back on offense.
On the NFL Today.
For this native New Yorker, there's no place like home. Vinny Testaverde has the Jets fired up. Plus, a follow-up on Lawrence Taylor and Denver's Jason Elam's 63-yard field goal, Sunday on CBS.
Florida has a 7-0 lead. The defense held Georgia on a third and very short. It was an interesting play call, too. He talked about all the problems that they had in the middle of that offensive line against Tennessee, and yet they wanted to send Carter right behind the center and 2 guys.
Well, I think the thinking there is, hey, we have a foot to make the first down. Surely we can make a foot, but it was a great defensive surge.
Henry and Henry formation. We saw this regularly against Auburn 2 weeks ago. Travis Taylor, another catch and another first down. He punishes the tackler. He ran over Will Witherspoon on his way to a gain of 16 yards. First down out of the 47. Time for the Sun America virtual playbook.
Well, Florida just ran the play we're going to look at here, Sean. This is the formation. It's Florida's Emory and Henry formation. They spread the field. 3 players on one side, 3 on the other. The quarterback behind a very small line. Just 3 players in the tailback. They can throw or run. They like to throw off it. They did so effectively.
A screen to Travis Taylor, and he has another first down into Georgia territory at the 38-yard line. Again, it was Witherspoon, the true freshman, who made the tackle, but it's 15 more for Travis Taylor. And what a couple of weeks he has had during the bye week last week. His wife gave birth to their first child.
Well, there's no question. Travis Taylor runs a little delay route. He lined up at the tight end position. They slipped him in at tight end. He just ran a little delay. Doug Johnson did a good job getting him the ball. Anytime you put an athlete like that against a linebacker, you have an advantage. That's where Florida is so hard to defend.
Taylor and his wife, Rashida, welcomed their first child 8 days ago. Baby girl named Tiona, 8 pounds, 1 ounce. Johnson throws into traffic, almost intercepted by Kirby Smart. Nafis Kareem, the intended receiver. And that's the first real hiccup we've seen from the offense for Florida so far. Johnson's now 7 out of 8.
Well, there's no question Doug Johnson does not want to throw into coverage today. That's what Steve Spurrier has told him. He said, hey, there's going to be wide open receivers. Hit those guys. Keep the ball away from the red shirts. He threw that one certainly into coverage. He was lucky.
5 wide receivers spread the field now for Florida. Again, the backfield empty behind Johnson out of the shotgun on 2nd and 10. Johnson over the middle. Travis Taylor tackled by Kirby Smart with help from Brandon Miller running downfield from his defensive tackle position. So that's 13 more for Travis Taylor, who now has 4 catches for 69 yards.
Well, Doug Johnson likes his formation when he's in the shotgun. 5 wide out, spread across the field. They got Georgia in man-to-man coverage this time, and it was simply Travis Taylor, again, beating Kirby Smart man-on-man.
...117 yards already. Not even 6 minutes have been played. Johnson throws, has a man open. Touchdown, Darrell Jackson.
Darrell Jackson is going to run a little post corner. He's going to act like he's going to run inside, and then all of a sudden he's going to break it to the outside. Georgia is in a 2-deep secondary, meaning they have a deep safety. Kirby Smart was supposed to come over and overlap that. He was unable to do it.
Movement along the line before the snap of the extra point try. So 2 25-yard touchdown passes thrown by Johnson. The first to Travis Taylor, this one to Darrell Jackson. And Jim Donnan's Dogs have a serious uphill climb this afternoon ahead of them.
A dead ball, offsides by the defense. The penalty will be half the distance to the goal. We'll repeat the try.
Georgia there trying to get some pressure on the quarterback, and they did with that little move inside, but it was just a little bit too late before the touchdown was thrown.
The penalty against Georgia on the extra point. James Chandler a yard closer. 19-yard extra point, and it's good. And the Gators are rolling early. Johnson thrown 2 touchdown passes. And it's 14-0 Florida. Doug Johnson's been in and out of Steve Spurrier's doghouse throughout his career at the University of Florida, but he's been very sharp so far today.
You know, Steve told us as we talked to him this week, Sean, that he thought Doug Johnson had his best week of practice and was going to play very well in this game. Certainly thus far, he's done exactly that.
Chandler's kickoff down to Patrick Pass. He has a seam. And it was the kicker, Chandler, who slowed him down and got a piece of him to allow others to finish the job at the 42-yard line. So this game couldn't have started any worse for Georgia. They needed a big play, and Pass gave it to them with a 41-yard kickoff return.
Well, psychologically, if you're Georgia, all of a sudden the biggest game of the year, you're down 14-0. You get a play like this from Patrick Pass, it really can ignite your offensive football team.
That was his first kickoff return of the year. They had not been using him in that role prior to today. And it's early, but Georgia could really use a march to turn momentum away from Florida. Throwback screen to Champ Bailey. He has blockers. Bailey close to a first down. Out of bounds at the Florida 48-yard line. Mike Peterson pushed him out. Let's get an update from Tim Brando.
Sean, you will recall that the criticism of Terry Bowden was the lack of a running game as head coach at Auburn. DeMontre Carter sets free, and once trailing 17-7, Auburn up 21-17. Remember, Arkansas gets Tennessee in a very important game November 14th.
We'll have the Arkansas-Tennessee game in 2 weeks here on CBS. Champ Bailey dropped for a big loss by Javon Kurtz.
Well, big Javon Kurtz, number 42, he comes on the blitz from the outside. The pressure's going to come right there. You watch him, 42, he just gets upfield. Georgia tried a quick toss play. Champ Bailey had no chance because of the penetration of Javon Kurtz.
Really a mismatch when Orlandis Gary tries to block Javon Kurtz. At 6'5", 250 pounds. Loss of 8. Carter lofts one, had a man open, but couldn't find the right altitude at which to deliver it to Larry Brown. So the Bulldogs will have to punt.
John, one of the things that Georgia is trying to do offensively is to really get rid of the ball fast because of the pressure of the Florida defense. The Florida defense comes on you so quickly, you want to get rid of it quickly. Quincy Carter right now is getting rid of it maybe a little bit too quickly.
Perhaps anticipating more of a rush because of what happened to him against Tennessee a few weeks ago. Win Kopp pops this one up high but short, and Travis McGriff makes the fair catch at the 28-yard line. Just a 29-yard punt by the freshman Kopp. We have regional coverage of the NFL on CBS tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Most of you will see Denver and Cincinnati as the Super Bowl champions try to remain undefeated. Doug Flutie and the Buffalo Bills will entertain Miami. And at 4:05, it's the New York Jets against the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs trying to get back on the winning track after losing 2 in a row. It all begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines at noon Eastern Time tomorrow. Of course, we're in the home stadium of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All-Cal Stadium in Jacksonville. The Jaguars left this morning for their game against the Baltimore Ravens. Johnson under pressure. Steps up and throws a bullet, incomplete, looking for Nafis Kareem. And Jeff Harris had good coverage. Just the second incompletion thrown by Johnson in 11 attempts.
The Georgia defense did a great job with their disguise that time. They lined up in one formation. Johnson thought he saw something. Then Georgia changed the formation on him. And all of a sudden, Doug Johnson almost made a bad play because of the disguise.
He was also almost the victim of a late hit from Orontis Grant. That was very close. 2nd and 10. Florida was marched down the field to score a touchdown on each of its first 2 possessions. And the play clock running down. Johnson took the snap. And he is tackled around the ankle by Antonio Cochran.
Antonio Cochran just comes on the pass rush from the right side. He's working against Zach Miller, number 69. And he's just going to have an outside rush, number 38, and he just beats him with a little swim move over the top. and then he gives a great second effort, diving at the legs of Doug Johnson to bring him down.
A loss of 8. Georgia defense, coordinated by Joe Kynes, has been stingy this year. Very conservative play call on 3rd down and 18. Adrian Hollingshed made the tackle on Eugene McCaslin.
Sean, I've been in a lot of big rivalry games throughout my coaching career, and I can tell you it's not necessarily what happens early. Florida comes out here, they jump on Georgia 14-0. They look quicker, they've got more intensity, but all of a sudden the momentum is starting to swing just a little bit in Georgia's favor.
Rod Frazier, the starting fullback, is the injured player.
Rod Frazier, number 40, the fullback for Florida. He's in the middle of the screen right there. Looks like he's going to get rolled over in that pile from behind. Well, you talk about a loss for Florida. Rod Frazier is one of those players that doesn't get a lot of attention, but he's a team guy. All he does is lead for tailbacks, block for the quarterback, particularly down in the red zone, the scoring area for Florida, where they haven't been very good this year. They need a guy like Rod Frazier to get that ball in the end zone when they're trying to run it.
And they're hoping that their leading rusher, Terry Jackson, might be able to return to see some action today. Jackson suffered an ankle injury against LSU, missed the Auburn game. He is dressed today. Frazier is the younger brother of Tommy Frazier, the outstanding former Nebraska quarterback who led the Huskers to the national championships in '94 and '95, including a memorable performance against the University of Florida. Rod Frazier signed with the Gators a month after Nebraska beat Florida in the Fiesta Bowl, and Rod said all anybody wanted to ask him about was Tommy's unbelievable 75-yard touchdown run.
Hey, can you blame him? I tell you, that loss of Frazier will really affect the Florida running game, which has been a problem for Florida anyway, but now you lose your lead blocker. That really hurts you.
David Wasilewski, a true freshman punter. And it's a short punt. Takes a great bounce, however. Michael Greer did well to pick that up on the tricky hop. And he's tackled at the 37-yard line. Marquand Manuel, one of their special team standouts, made the play for Florida. The Gators lead 14-0. Tonight on CBS, Sammo Hung, TV's newest action star, doesn't believe in black magic, but after Halloween he will. Check out TV's most talked about new show, Martial Law, tonight on CBS. Speaking of Halloween, we want to thank Tim Brando, Craig James, and Lou Holtz. I would like to thank them for using my high school graduation picture on their Halloween mask.
Hey,
they threw it to us.
You've gotten better looking with age. That's all I can tell you.
Ronnie Bradley. Out across the 40-yard line, the short gain of 3 on first down. Mike Peterson made the tackle. We haven't had a chance yet to introduce you to the Florida defense. They haven't been on the field very long. Derek Chambers is filling in very well for Ed Chester, who's out for the rest of the year with a knee injury. 2 of the 3 linebackers, Hurst and Rutledge, are among the 10 finalists for the Butkus Award, the nation's best linebacker. Tony George, Rod Grady, Tico Brown, and Benny Alexander gets the start at right corner. They've used a number of folks at right corner this year. Alexander makes his second straight start. Screen to Champ Bailey. He's out to the 44, about 3 yards short of the first down.
When we watch a player like Champ Bailey, number 4, play, he plays so much defense. When he does come in on offense, they usually try to get him the ball very quickly. He's not a real great pattern runner because he spends all his time on defense rather than offense. But if you can get him the ball fast, he can really do something with it. Georgia got him the ball quickly.
Bailey was on the field for 102 plays last week at Kentucky. Only 37 on offense because Kentucky did such a good job holding the ball against the Bulldogs. Carter throws. Larry Brown, the tight end, has a first down in the Florida territory at the 45-yard line. 15th catch of the season for the senior from Decatur, Georgia. This one goes for 11.
Georgia runs a nice little delay route to Larry Brown, 87, the tight end. Delay routes are very effective against linebackers that are dropping deep. Florida's linebackers drop deep there. Larry Brown comes underneath him, gets the ball, makes a positive gain for the first down.
The first Georgia first down. Brown today making his 41st career start. Quarterback draw. Carter taken down from behind by Mike Peterson, the leading tackler on the Florida defense for the season. We mentioned Kearse and Rutledge are Butkus Award semifinalists, but the coaches say Peterson is every bit as good, if not better.
Yeah, we've watched this guy for a couple years now, Sean. He may be one of the most underrated players in the conference. Mike Peterson does nothing but make big play after big play for Florida.
He was a quarterback in high school, says he still dreams about playing quarterback. He's hoping before he leaves, Steve Spurrier will give him just one play at that position. Carter out of the gun on second down, running for his life and sack. Javon Kearse with the first sack of the afternoon for Florida. He now has a team-high 7.5 sacks for the year.
Well, and this sack is a result of Quincy Carter being inexperienced. He holds this ball too long. His internal time clock has got to go off. When he feels that heat, he's got to pull that ball down and fight back to the line of scrimmage and live to fight another day.
Florida with 27 sacks now, leading the SEC as they did a year ago when they had 50. Loss of 2 on the sack, third down and 7. 14-0 Florida, and Carter called for a timeout just before the shotgun snap. 14-0 Gators in Jacksonville. Sean McDonough with Terry Donahue and Mike Mayock. 3:38 left in the first quarter, and it's 14-0 Florida.
Now, this has moved right along, too, Sean. Steve Spurrier, so far, things have gone the way he wanted them to go. He wanted a fast-paced offense, a fast first quarter, and jump out into the lead, which certainly everything has gone just that way so far.
7-1 as head coach at Florida. But the game he remembers most was in 1966 when he was the quarterback of a team that came in 7-0, and the Dogs beat him and the Gators 27-10. Spurrier threw 3 interceptions. The ruination of that season for the Gators, and Spurrier has not forgotten it. Carter with the inside handoff for Ronnie Bradley. He's down just across the 40-yard line, about 4 yards short of a first down. And Jim Donnan has a decision to make. He hesitated a long time when they had third down and a foot at their own 30-yard line before sending the punting unit on. And this time, no hesitation. He's going for it.
Yeah, he's in 4-down territory. They're not a great kicking team, Georgia, when you look at them. But he's going to go for this. And he's in the position of the field where you've got a good chance. You've got less than 5 yards, and you've got a player like Quincy Carter. I think it's a great call.
With short 5 to go. Maybe get just inside the 36-yard line. Here comes Manuel on a blitz, and Carter had to throw it away, and it's incomplete. It was nearly caught on the diving try by Thad Parker, but the pressure forced an awkward throw, and Doug Johnson, the offense, come back out on the field for Florida.
Well, Sean, we were talking about Mike Peterson, the leading tackler on Florida, being underrated, and on this particular play, he's the linebacker that scrapes from inside on Quincy Carter, number 29. He's going to come over, the quarterback's going to roll, and all of a sudden, watch number 29 come into the screen. He makes the big play on Quincy Carter. Very close call right there. He almost completes this ball despite the pressure from Mike Peterson.
Gators begin at their own 40. With no backs. Johnson under a blitz. Finds his receiver, Alex Willis. A former walk-on with just his 4th catch of the year. Let's get an update on the Arkansas-Auburn game from Tim Brandall.
Sean, Terry Donahue would love this from a coaching perspective. An over-pursuing defense has problems with misdirection. And you see Eric Branch, seldom used fullback, gets in. Razorbacks answer the Auburn challenge and lead by 3, trying to stay unbeaten.
Tim knows I like those misdirection plays against fired-up defenses. I love them, Tim.
Again, no backs. They spread the field with wide receivers, 5 in all. Johnson throws to McGriff, who never moved as he waited for the pass. The ball was snapped, and McGriff just stood there, and he takes it for another first down. Well, actually, they're going to spot him out just short of the first down at the 34-yard line.
Travis McGriff, as you said, he just stands there. He's down here at the bottom of the screen. He doesn't move, and all of a sudden, the Georgia defense, they all went back into their zones. He's standing there all alone, gets a positive gain. That's taking advantage of how another team is coached. Steve Spurrier watched how those guys from Georgia were coached and took advantage of it.
Rob Roberts is the fullback with Rod Frazier out with the injury. Eugene McCaslin out of bounds near the 10-yard line. Tackled by Jeff Harris.
Well, give Rob Roberts, number 46, the backup fullback, a little credit on this play. If you want to watch a guy come in off the bench and do a good job, 46 lights up the linebacker. Orantes Grant, number 58, that enables the tailback to break loose, Eugene McCaslin.
Roberts is a redshirt freshman from Dade City, Florida. No career rushes or receptions. He's played very little this season. Rod Frazier is out with a sprained knee, and Mike Mayock tells us he is not expected to return today. So Roberts will likely see considerable action this afternoon. McCaslin follows Roberts again, and he's close to another first down near the 1-yard line.
Well, you know, anytime you're in coaching and you lose a player like Rod Frazier, you wonder, how is the backup going to do? But if you watch the fullback, 46, he isolates on the linebacker. Right there, he's the one that opens the hole that enables the tailback to get through it. To run the ball effectively in two-back offense, you need to have a good blocking fullback.
2nd and 1. They can pick up a first down without a touchdown, but why worry about that? Doug Johnson takes care of the touchdown himself. And this has been a nightmare for Jim Donnan, as the Gators now lead 20-0.
Florida has come out here on fire. They are quicker than Georgia. They are fired up, and they just crush them here on the quarterback sneak. They just simply blow the Georgia defensive line off the ball.
And Spurrier's been frustrated by his team for much of this year, particularly in the red zone. They've scored just 3 touchdowns in their last 14 trips to the red zone, but they're in the end zone this time. In the first quarter for Florida, 21 points, 11 first downs already. They have totally dominated the number 11 team in the nation, the Georgia Bulldogs. It's 21-0, and Jeff Chandler must be a little leg weary already between the kickoffs and the extra points.
Steve Spurrier was hoping his team would play at a higher level the second half of the season following the bye. Certainly thus far, they've done exactly that.
Patrick pass out to the 21, and that's all. Steve Spurrier said the offense was due for a breakout day, and it looks like today is that day. Here's Mike Mayock.
Well, Sean, Steve Spurrier told us that he reshuffled his whole offensive line this week. He's got Corey Yarbrough at center, Blackshear at guard, and Cooper Carlisle moving from guard to tackle. Now, what he also named Jimmy Ray Stevens, his offensive line coach, as running game coordinator, because he said, I haven't been able to motivate him all year. Maybe he can. And when I talked to Jimmy Ray Stevens before the game, he said, Mike, this is the first time we've had all 5 guys in the offensive line together at the correct positions since the first day in training camp.
Well, I'm not sure, Mike. You know, if that's the case, whose fault is that? You know, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure. I think that Florida has struggled in the offensive line because of some injuries and things like that. Certainly Steve Spurrier, when we all talked to him, he was upset with those linemen that they didn't block anybody, and he also said the running backs weren't breaking any tackles.
Hey, Coach, I think what he was really talking about was they got injured early, and they had to play Zadalis at center and Corey Yarbrough at guard, so they've had to reshuffle the whole thing. In his opinion, this is the first time they've got the strongest unit on the field in a game.
Yeah, I understand that, and I agree with that.
Larry Brown caught the pass from Carter on first down. Awkward pick, but Carter got it out. And Olandis Gary has a first down for Georgia out of the 32-yard line. Rod Grady made the tackle on the senior from Washington, D.C. Olandis Gary, who transferred from Marshall University to Georgia 2 years ago. And Jim Donnan made that move from Marshall to Georgia as head coach.
This is a little option play out of the shotgun. The quarterback just comes down the line, pitches it up there. Awfully high pitch. It hung up there in the air for a long time.
Thad Parker, a wide receiver, lined up in the backfield and went in motion. They're trying to set up another screen. Orlando Gary, good cut inside. He put his head down to bowl over Tico Brown, and Gary has another first down at the 43-yard line. That's the end of the first quarter. The score, Florida 21 and Georgia nothing. We'll return to Alltel Stadium after these messages and a word from your local station.
How to lose your extra inches. Monday at 11 on News Channel 4.
The Georgia-Florida game has been played here in beautiful Jacksonville every year since 1933, with just 3 exceptions. In 1943, Florida didn't field a team. And in 94 and 95, the games were played on the respective campuses as this stadium got ready for the arrival of the Jacksonville Jaguars. This city a great host for this game. Carter throws, caught, short of a first down, just into Florida territory. Goes Tony Small, a Jacksonville native, not really enjoying this return home. Sean McDonough along with Terry Donahue and Coach. Obviously, Georgia has to make some adjustments.
Well, there's no question. If they can get something going on offense, that'll contribute to the enthusiasm of the game. Right now, you come out in a big game, you're down 21-0. They're really behind it. But if the defense can settle down a little bit, Florida, everything they've done so far has been effective. Their defense probably is going to have to blitz a little bit more, get some pressure on Doug Johnson. Right now, he's had all day to throw the ball, and he's hitting everybody he wants.
I get the sense that the Georgia offense is getting a little bit more of a rhythm with each possession. Orlando Gary was tackled by Keith Kelsey, a backup linebacker, who's getting some playing time here early in the second quarter. Coming into this game, for the first 7 games of the year, Georgia had allowed a total of 20 first quarter points. Today, Jim Donovan's defense allowed 21 against the Gators.
You know, it's interesting. Georgia, when they played Kentucky a week ago, didn't play particularly well in the first quarter. In fact, Joe Kynes, the defensive coordinator, said they played better in the fourth quarter than they did the first. So perhaps today that'll happen as well.
Just held on to win. Carter hands it off to Champ Bailey, and he's in trouble, and he's dropped for a loss. Keith Kelsey dropped Bailey back at the 50-yard line for a loss of 3. Kelsey's a junior from Newberry, Florida, not far from the campus in Gainesville, who's been a top backup to Johnny Rutledge the last couple of years.
Well, Florida plays the play perfectly. You always want someone at home to play reverses and counter plays. And on this particular play, 41, Keith Kelsey is right where he needs to be, not giving Georgia an opportunity to make a big play.
Kelsey saw a lot of action last season when he was their 5th leading tackler. Hasn't had much playing time this year. Carter throws it deep, looking for Champ Bailey. It's too long. He was well defended by Tony George. And it'll be 3rd down and long from the 50-yard line for the Dogs.
Champ Bailey just didn't have a chance on this play. Tony George was all over him from the very beginning. He just lined up, took him man-to-man all over the field. Champ got off the ball, but Tony George is right there, and the ball isn't even close. That's excellent defense, once again, by Florida.
And there's Tony's sister, Harry, who was featured on our pregame show. 3rd down and 13. And whistles and flags stop the play as Carter started to drop back. Look at Steve Spurrier. He looks like some of those people been walking around the Jacksonville Landing the last couple of nights.
He may have been out in the parking lot too early before the game.
Foul is a dead ball. Movement in the line by the offense. The penalty will be 5 yards from the previous spot. 3rd down.
Not your typical head coach, I'd say,
no,
Sean.
Not at all. One of the colorful characters, controversial. Some people like him, others don't. He's been labeled Steve Superior over the years. Some think he's a little bit arrogant, but I think what I appreciate about him, Coach, is it's genuine. He doesn't try to put on an act. He just behaves as comes naturally to him.
No question about it, and he certainly has treated us well when we've gone down to Gainesville for games or even coming here. Here he is trying to get the crowd involved, make more noise.
He does just about everything on that sideline.
Foul is a dead ball. False starts. Movement in the offensive line. The penalty will be 5 yards from the previous spot. Third down.
Yes, when Jim Donnan thinks it can't get any worse, it does. Here's Mike.
You know, talking about Steve Spurrier, we've seen an awful lot of practices over the last 3 years down there, and the thing that impresses me, he might be tough, he might be acerbic, but he's a teacher. When he's with that offense, his quarterbacks and wide receivers, he and Dwayne Dixon, his wide receiver coach, actually get in and run plays together. Spurrier, the Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, Dixon at wide receiver, and that's how they decide how to run certain routes. They're really great teachers.
Steve Spurrier jumps in the drill and says, if I can throw that pass, you should be able to his quarterback. Good throw by Carter, but Tony Small is short of a first down. They have third down and 23 yards to go for a first down, and that pass comes up about 6 yards short of the necessary yardage.
Well, Tony Small there working against Manuel. All of a sudden, Florida's in a zone coverage. Small finds the seam in that zone. That's an excellent pass by Quincy Carter. He just went in between those defenders, put the ball right where he needed to do.
Well, with everything going against him, Jim Donnan's going to go for it again on fourth down. They were stopped on a fourth down try late in the first quarter. This one will be fourth down and 6. And they're going to have to use a timeout. The play clock is down to 5. 21-0 Florida early in the second quarter. Under Jim Donnan, the Georgia program has turned around in his third year. He's 21-9 as Georgia head coach. They've won 16 of their last 19 games, but right now they're down 21 and looking at fourth down and 6 at the 43-yard line of Florida. 3 wide receivers, including Champ Bailey. Carter, touchdown to Larry Brown, down to the 29-yard line. The tight end Brown, a frequent target today. That is his third catch.
Sean, a lot of teams don't utilize the tight end in the throwing game, but Georgia does because of the talent of Larry Brown. Here he's working against Johnny Rutledge, number 58, the middle linebacker. Just beats him on an inside route. Quincy Carter throws a nice ball. Good call by Jim Donnan and his staff.
And as Donnan watched, not much reaction. Tough to get too excited when you're this far behind. There's a long way to go to get back into this one. They've marched down to the 30. Carter on the rollout. Goes out of bounds at the 24-yard line. That's a gain of 6 for Carter.
Nice play by Quincy Carter. There was no one open downfield. He looked and looked and looked. He had plenty of time, but the Florida secondary really had covered the Georgia receivers. There's just nowhere to go with that ball. Quincy Carter picks up 6 yards with his legs.
That's rushed for 114 last week at Kentucky to lead the Bulldogs. Scored a 49-yard touchdown run and was the first Georgia quarterback to rush for 100 yards plus since Joe Dupree against Auburn back in 1990. Carter throws quickly to Champ Bailey, and he's very close to a first down. He appears to have it if they give him the 19-yard line.
Sean, what happened there, Champ Bailey lined up to the right side, and the Florida players didn't see him. Tico Brown, the free safety, number 33, was trying to call timeout. There was no one even over here, and all of a sudden you could see the free safety coming over. He usually plays in the middle of the defense. The corner had lined up incorrectly, and he couldn't get the timeout called. Florida was really fortunate that that didn't turn into a big touchdown play for Georgia.
Bulldogs on the move, first and 10 at the 19 of Florida. Carter off to a good start playing, 10 out of 13 for 90 yards. Orlandis Gary threw a big hole. Mike Peterson and Rod Grady stopped him, but Gary's down to the 12-yard line.
This is such an important drive for Georgia. You got to get 7 points here. Field goal, it helps you, but it really doesn't get you back into the ball game. You get the adrenaline, the enthusiasm for the game when you get those 7 points. And if Jim Donnan can get that 7 now, all of a sudden the momentum will come back a little bit his way, although Florida 21-zip looks impressive.
Georgia well above the national average in touchdown scoring in the red zone, while Florida's well below. Timeout called by Orlandis Gary. There's a lot of confusion as the Dogs lined up for that play. CBS Sports coverage of NASDAQ college football will continue after this word from your local station. Nothing Florida, but Georgia is Marching down the field. On second and short, fine defensive play made by Alex Brown as he came ripping through to take down Olandis Carey. Brown's another backup linebacker who hasn't seen much action this year. Redshirt freshman from White Springs, Florida.
Once again, Florida brings the pressure from the linebackers. You never know who's going to blitz out of this Gator defense. They love to bring linebacker pressure. He came unblocked and just made the sack in the backfield.
Well, the Georgia offense is better than the national average in the red zone. The Florida defense is much better at preventing touchdowns when the ball moves inside his 20. Option play. Carter down to the 10. He's a yard short of the first down, and that'll bring up fourth down and another decision for Jim Donnan.
You know, Jim Donnan wanted the ball in Quincy Carter's hands that time. That's his best athlete, the best guy on the team, and he wanted to keep it on the option. He just didn't have much room, but certainly Donnan will go for this on fourth down, but he's going to have to hurry. They don't have any timeouts left.
That's exactly right. Not enough time to ponder the decision, and he can't use a timeout to come up with the play because they're out of timeout. 1 out of 2 on fourth down today. Play clock down to 6. Carter out of the shotgun. Throws, and it is caught. Terrific catch by Michael Greer at the 1-yard line.
Sean, Michael Greer was working against Benny Alexander, number 30, and he just runs a slant to the inside. You can watch him. He's just going to go down and turn it up inside. The ball is really well thrown by Quincy Carter. He stays right in the pocket, releases it. It's perfectly thrown. It's hard to defend that kind of a pass, no matter how good of a defensive back you are.
And now a timeout has been called by Florida. Georgia, first and goal from inside the 1 when we come back.
Tim Brando in New York. Coming up on the College Football Today Action Equitable Halftime Report, Craig Lou and I will get you caught up on all of today's action, including the masterful performance of Donovan McNabb. 326 total yards of offense en route to the Syracuse win. Now back to Georgia, Florida.
And Syracuse victory was not without a struggle for most of the afternoon against the Panthers. First and goal from inside the 1. Georgia desperately in need of a touchdown. And Champ Bailey in the backfield. He couldn't get up and over. Bailey also competes on the Georgia track and field team as a long jumper and a high jumper. He is a former Georgia high jump champion in high school when he was a junior, but he couldn't jump high enough this time.
Well, the penetration by the Florida defense, particularly the linebackers, and Mike Peterson, Johnny Rutledge, 2 of the best in the country. They go as high as Champ Bailey went to stop him. Sean, Georgia didn't get much push by their offensive line that time against the Florida defensive line.
They're going to stick with it up the middle. This time it's Ronnie Bradley. Touchdown, Georgia.
Nice second effort by Ronnie Bradley. He got hit at the line of scrimmage, but he fought his way into the end zone. Chris Terry, number 70, the right tackle, makes a good block. He gets hit, but he'll fight all the way through that. That's a nice effort.
Hap Hines will try the extra point. And it is good. Ronnie Bradley with his second touchdown of the year. He's a senior from Albany, Georgia. And Georgia's on the board at 21-7 with 8.5 left in the first half.
Well, how big is this next series for the Georgia defense? Now they got to go out there. If they could shut them down and get them stopped, if they get that Florida team slowed down a little bit, all of a sudden the momentum begins to shift. Another look at that great charge by the Florida defense, but the great effort, too, by the Georgia offense. Jim Donnan knows he got a little touchdown there. That's a little hope for the future.
Friends, we invite you to relive the greatest games in college football history with CBS Sports Line's College Football Flashback. Go back in time with complete recaps, stats, and quotes from those great games at cbs.sportsline.com. The tickets to this game annually evenly distributed among the 2 schools. With a 50-50 crowd, Georgia is the home team this year. They alternate, moving in that capacity. What a drive. 17 plays, 80 yards, 7 minutes and 47 seconds, and Bradley scored the touchdown on a 1-yard plunge. And now it's Hines to kick off.
Nice thing about the drive, too, Sean, in addition to the points, is keeping the Florida offense off the field.
Another line drive kick taken by Robert Gillespie, the true freshman, trying to get to the far side of the field. Robert Gillespie all the way out to the 44-yard line, and they want a late hit on the Florida sideline. Walker Andrus chased him out. It's a 35-yard kickoff return for the true freshman from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, Robert Gillespie.
Gillespie does a nice job finding a seam in the Georgia coverage. The Georgia the end for the Georgia coverage team got pinned to the inside. That enabled it to break the run.
I'd say clearly a late hit out of bounds.
A late hit. No question about it.
The Gators the best in the nation in kickoff return average, and Gillespie just helped the average, and then Jermaine Phillips added yardage to the end of it with that hit out of bounds. Phillips is a backup wide receiver.
At the 44-yard line.
You talk about how important this series is on defense for Georgia. What a way to begin. With the ball at your own 44. Johnson with an empty backfield. Quick pass. Eugene McCaslin has room over the middle. Flag thrown downfield as McCaslin goes down at the 30-yard line. We'll check on the flag after an update from Tim Brando.
Sean, clearly the most disappointing team in the SEC has been LSU, ranked number 7 in preseason. Kevin Falk gets in. They once trailed 28-7. They now trail Ole Miss 31-24 in Oxford.
And much of the venom of the Tiger fans has been directed at the new defensive coordinator, Lou Tepper.
Valley's holding by the offense during the play. The penalty will be 10 yards from the spot of the foul. Still first down.
The first penalty against Florida. Doyle Jackson is the referee leading this Southeastern Conference officiating crew. From the spot of the infraction, so in essence it's 4 yards of penalty yardage from the line of scrimmage, 1st and 14. Emery and Henry. Among those split out are Cooper Carlisle and Zach Pillar, ordinarily offensive linemen. And off inside, and they weren't fooled that time as Orontis Grant tripped up Eugene McCaslin.
Georgia really aligned properly on the formation. They had almost everything covered other than maybe a quick screen to the outside. Doug Johnson elected to hand the ball off. Good alignment by Georgia on that particular play.
There's Joe Kynes, the defensive coordinator at Georgia, once an assistant coach at the University of Florida. We've seen this rivalry from both sides. Johnson throws short to Travis McGriff. Again, very little as Champ Bailey came charging up from his corner.
Don, one of the things about Joe Kynes, he told us yesterday, remember, he said we want to play real well early. It's very important to us to get off to a good start. Well, oops, heavens, he hasn't gotten off to a very good start, but his defensive team right now is playing a little better, and they're kind of fighting their way back into this game.
Well, he's certainly familiar with Travis McGriff. When Joe was on the Florida staff, Travis's dad, Lee, was an assistant coach on the same staff. He said he remembered young Travis coming out to the practice as a very little boy, and Joe Kynes' daughter, Susan, used to babysit for Travis McGriff. Johnson deep down the middle and caught. Harris Willis fumbled the football. And the Bulldogs pick it up. Then they fumble. And Georgia has it at the 7-yard line. Larry Mann ripped the ball out, recovered it, then lost it. There is a flag back at the line of scrimmage. It's against Florida, so the Bulldogs will get the ball inside their own 10.
Alex Willis is going to run an inside post. He's the inside receiver. You can watch him. He runs down the field, breaks off to the inside. He's working against Larry Mann. Larry Mann strips the ball from behind. A great individual effort by him. He's got it. He doesn't have it. Georgia's got it. Florida's got it, but it's Georgia's ball.
Mann's a backup player. Junior from Atlanta, backup throughout his career. One of the biggest plays of his career, perhaps the biggest. And Steve Spurrier has seen this before. His team has self-destructed with penalties and particularly with turnovers time and time again this season. And Willis almost inconsolable on the sideline. 15 lost fumbles this season. They had 8 all of last year. Carter throws incomplete. Derek Chambers grabbed a hold of his arm and forced that very awkward throw.
Sean, you mentioned the turnovers that have plagued Florida. Certainly they have, and the defense of Florida has done a remarkable job after turnovers, going in and not giving up a lot of points. They've been great in that particular area. Once again, the Florida defense applying pressure immediately after a turnover.
That's the amazing number you were talking about. Only 19 points allowed after 22 Gator turnovers this year.
You talk about a stat. Now that is a stat.
That's a great defense to cover up all those mistakes. Busted play, and Carter's busted, and a late flag thrown near where the tackle was made. Carter down back inside the 3-yard line. Willie Collins hit him. And he delivered quite a blow. There was a late flag thrown in. The Gators will likely turn that one down.
Well, you talk about intensity and defensive reaction after a bad play by your offensive team. Look at these Gators swarm. They just get that penetration and knock the Georgia offense back. That's why a lot of people consider their front, the front 7, the best in college football right now.
The defense third in the nation against the run. Third in yards per rush allowed. 6th in total defense. The Gators are the top 10 in the nation, both total offense and total defense. Carter's pass batted down. On 3rd down and 14, the pass was deflected by Javon Kurtz. And there's that defense again rising up after an offensive turnover by Florida.
Boy, you talk about a great defensive series. Javon Kurtz at the top of the screen. He doesn't get to the quarterback, but he gets his hand up. You're talking about a guy that's 6'5". Anytime you're thrown over that tall of a tree in front of you, it's hard to find the throwing lane.
Lynn Cops had a shaky day punting. This from the back of the end zone. A low line drive and short. Just right to be run back. Travis McGriff pushed out of bounds by Larry Mann. And Florida will have great field position near the 26-yard line.
Sean, people always talk about how defenses win games. Well, certainly when you look at that exchange right there, Georgia gets the big turnover. They get a chance to really grab that momentum, but the Florida defense is so strong. They go in there, play 3 just tremendous plays, and get the ball back for their own offense inside the 30-yard line.
Just under 6 minutes remaining in the first half. Florida 1st and 10 at the Georgia 27. Haslam split out now, giving him 5 receivers spread away from the line of scrimmage. Johnson throws underneath to McCaslin, and he's close to a first down, about a yard short at the 18-yard line. Champ Bailey made the stop for the Bulldogs. Coming up at halftime, the AXA and Equitable Halftime Report. Tim Craig and Lou with scores and highlights. As the college football season continues to unfold, this looks to be the biggest game of the day in terms of its national implications. With the number 5 team against number 11, and Florida still thinking about the national championship. Obviously, they need some help, but it's not beyond the realm of possibility. And Steve Spurrier admitted that when we chatted with him a couple of days ago. McCaslin was tackled by Snelling, and they are going to bring out the chains for measurement here.
You know, Sean, you mentioned Steve talking about the national championship. What he's really hoping is that his team can go to a new level the second half of the season. He thought the bye was going to be really helpful to him, and then he said, we've got to play better. We've got to have fewer penalties, fewer turnovers, and start, as you mentioned earlier, with an offensive breakout day. And they've had that. They've moved the ball at will today, and they may be one of the better teams in the country.
I don't think there's any question they are that. The question is, how do they stack up among the other top 10 or so? And they're just a missed field goal in overtime away from perhaps being undefeated. They lost to Tennessee in overtime, and they are this week number 7 in the BCS rankings, so they will need some losses from teams ahead of them. Third down, less than a yard. And again, the spread formation. It's either going to be a pass or a keeper, one would suspect, from Johnson. And it is the keeper, and Johnson has the first down. And the clock's down to 5:02 remaining in the first half.
A lot of room in that Georgia defense when Florida goes to that spread offense and gets them spread out across the field. There's just a lot of throwing lanes. Georgia's not a big man-to-man pressure team. They're more of a zone team. And when you play zone, you kind of bend but don't break. But there's some seams in there people can work you, and that's exactly what Florida's done today.
In the 5 receivers spread across the field. Johnson throws the end zone, almost intercepted by Kirby Smart. That's the kind of throw that drives Steve Spurrier crazy. Johnson prone to throwing the ball into traffic. And you wonder if Smart wasn't playing with a dislocated shoulder, if he might have held on to that football.
Well, Kirby Smart plays right in the middle of the defense, and Travis Taylor just runs down the field. There's no way that that ball should have been thrown. It should have been intercepted. Spurrier knows that no, don't put it in there.
Now he walks into traffic again, and this one is intercepted. Picked off by Jeff Harris.
Jeff Harris is working against Travis McGriff. Jeff Harris, number 13, just goes high in the air, playing safety just like he needs to.
And Doug Johnson's interception gives Georgia the ball back at its own 20. A huge mistake. Steve Spurrier has seen this time and time again this year. A chance to pile up the points, perhaps put a game away early, but turnovers cause a problem. There's a whistle before that fumble by Quincy Carter. 2 turnovers today for Florida. And they now have committed 24 for the year. They're -9 for the season. They're 102nd in the nation among 112 Division 1A schools.
That was a dead ball. Ball starts, move it in the offensive line. Penalty will be 5 yards from the previous spot. Still a first down.
And the only teams with the worst turnover margin in the country in Division 1A than Florida are South Carolina, Kent, Arizona State, Tulsa, Vanderbilt, Oklahoma, and Cincinnati. And most of those are bad football teams.
I know, and this team is in the top 10 with that kind of a turnover ratio. It is unbelievable. It's because of that defense. That defense can come in and shut them down.
Well, the Georgia offense is getting chances. Now it needs to capitalize. Thad Parker with the reception. Tony George pushed him out at the 26.
The Georgia offensive line did a great job that particular time, Sean. Quincy Carter had all day to find a receiver, couldn't find anybody deep, and eventually got the ball out into the flat. But the line has been under some pressure, but on that particular play, they really blocked well.
2nd and 4 at the 26. 4.5 minutes remaining in the half. Remember now, Georgia does not have a timeout remaining here in the first half. Draw, Orlando Gary, big hole. First down Bulldogs as Gary goes out to the 40-yard line where Rod Grady made the stop. A gain of 13 for Gary.
Landis Gary just finds a little crease in that Florida defense. They have a stunt going on in the inside, and anytime you stunt, there is always a crease, and he was able to find it with his eyes, make that positive gain through that attacking defense.
Gary's the all-time leading rusher in the history of Maryland high school football. He's out of Riverdale Baptist High School where he rushed for 5,375 yards. He is 33 today. High throw. The tight end Larry Brown was again the intended receiver, and he was open, but Carter's pass sailed over his head.
Quincy Carter just didn't quite have his rhythm on that play. There was some pretty good pressure by the Florida front. He never really got his feet set and was able to rip the ball down the field. That time, again, it's an example of that constant pressure that Florida puts you under. Sometimes when they don't get there, you throw quickly anyway.
Florida had the game totally under control, it seemed, at the end of the first quarter. They had a 21-0 lead. They were dominating in every way, but they made some big mistakes. Here in the second quarter, Georgia had a nifty 17-play drive to score a touchdown, and here come the Dogs again. Tony Small leaped right over a would-be tackler and picked up the first down. 15 yards on the pickup for Tony Small.
Florida came with the blitz. They blitzed the cornerback. He was covering Small. Then he blitzed to try and get to the quarterback. You can see Small says, give me the ball, give me the ball. He was wide open. By the time Tico Brown got over there to make the play, it was too late.
And Mike Peterson made the tackle, and now he's going off slowly to the Florida sideline. Quincy Carter, 13 out of 19, 125 yards passing.
Boy, Sean, I like him as a true freshman. Is he cool or what?
Indeed he is, and that's what Jim Donnan said. He said we knew he was a great talent. We didn't know how poised he was. His poise tested. He pulled away. He throws deep for Small, and it's incomplete. And that ball was underthrown. Rod Grady broke it up, but Small had a small advantage over Grady. But the ball was thrown short by Carter as he escaped the rush.
Sean, that's exactly right. Quincy Carter once again under pressure. If he could have put a little more air under this ball, he would have hit it for a touchdown. But when you're fighting to stay alive in the pocket there, you just need to get it launched. That ball's underthrown Grady with a nice defensive play.
Very nearly his first interception of the year. Now 2nd and 10 with 3:27 remaining in the half. 3 wide receivers. Carter, nice cut inside. And he puts his head down to go down. Avoided taking a big lick. Give Johnny Rutledge credit for the tackle. Carter's about 2 yards short of the first down.
Quick. Mike Peterson out of the lineup right there, Sean. That's a guy you want in the lineup. He's one of the big play guys for Florida.
He fairly took a hit in the midsection. Big 3rd down here. 3rd down and a short 3.
Jim Donnan has 2 downs to make this.
Carter's going to try to throw for it. Throws too high, and it is almost intercepted. The ball hit the ground. Tony George couldn't quite control it, but he had the best shot at it. It was intended for Champ Bailey.
Georgia threw a little crossing route. They're going to bring a receiver from this side of the field. Champ Bailey deep down in there. You can watch those 2 guys. They're the guys that Quincy Carter's taking a look at. But he tries to hit underneath. The ball's tipped. Lucky for Georgia, it's not intercepted. Anytime that ball gets tipped up like that, most of the time it's going to end up in an interception.
4th and 3. The Dogs 2 out of 3 on 4th down today. And a timeout called by Florida. Jim Donnan has sent into play for this huge 4th down. 4th and 3. Georgia down by 2 touchdowns late in the first half. Interesting that on 3rd and 3 they elected to pass, and it fell incomplete.
Sean, Quincy Carter is the man. You want the ball in his hands either on an option play or you want him throwing it.
3 receivers to the left. And now the backup tight end Jermaine Wiggins in motion. Carter, short drop throw. That's a first down for Larry Brown. We think it'll depend on the spot, but he appears to have it from here along the 35-yard line. It is a first down.
Larry Brown just working against Johnny Rutledge, the middle linebacker, 58. He just runs down the field, bounces off the linebacker, 58. They're lined up on each other. He runs down, bounces around, turns around, gets his ball for the first down.
That's a great place to go. A target like Brown in traffic at 6'5", 270. Steve Spurrier dismayed. Brown has 4 catches for 35 yards. He's a 2-sport athlete at Georgia. He's been a forward on the Georgia basketball team. And a flag thrown prior to the snap. Brown, we should add, is a very good basketball player. He's just not a spare part.
We have an equipment violation. Timeout, Florida. their third.
Neither team has a timeout remaining now. That could have been about the height of socks. It could have been about a mouthpiece not being used. And neither team has a timeout now with 2:17 left. We talk about Larry Brown. He's had some memorable moments on the basketball court, including in the '97 SEC tournament against Arkansas in the final seconds. There's Larry scoring the winning bucket in Georgia's 65-63 win. He had 18 points in a game in 1997 against highly regarded South Carolina. Last year he appeared in 27 games after the football season ended for Ron Jerse's basketball Bulldogs. Averaged 6.2 points and 4.5 rebounds in 17 minutes a game of action. He must be tired when the school year's over.
That's a nice looking tight end though. 40 career starts. Talk about a guy 6'5", 280. That's how you want them, so they can play in the running game and also work down the field in the throwing game.
I would imagine if Georgia could score on this drive, particularly a touchdown, Terry, they have to feel very good about going into the locker room just 7 down the way this started.
Oh, can you believe the momentum? If Georgia can get in here and get in the end zone, get 7 points, Sean, I promise you, they'll be in that locker room saying, hey, we got a chance to win this game.
Another win for Rutgers today. Terry Shea perhaps in the process of saving his job. He's been under fire in New Jersey. On 1st and 10, just a 3-man rush, and the pass is poorly thrown. Michael Greer was open, but the ball was short. And it'll be 2nd and 10. Greer from a Georgia football family. His dad, Steve, is a former All-American defensive lineman back in the late 60s for the Dogs, and he's now the director of football operations for Jim Donnan and for athletic director Vince Dooley. And here's Mike Mayock.
And don't forget his older brother, Steven, wide receiver at Valdosta State, had 84 catches 3 years ago. Who do you think the coach was?
Hal Mumme.
You got it, pal.
Now at Kentucky. Carter screen to Bailey. This looks promising to Georgia. That might have been a touchdown-saving tackle from behind by Peterson, who's back in the game after being kicked a few plays ago.
Well, Mike Peterson made a great recovery. Georgia gets the ball to Champ Bailey real quick on the screen. Mike Peterson, 29, gets blocked, comes off the block, and makes, as you said, Sean, the touchdown-saving tackle because Champ Bailey was going to put that ball in the end zone.
He had blockers in front of him and very few defenders left to dodge. It is a first down for Georgia. Out of timeouts at the Florida 25. Short pass underneath. And Tony Small lunges inside the 20 for a gain of about 6 more.
Again, Georgia doing a nice job getting rid of the ball quickly. They don't want that Florida pressure to get to them. They've taken a little playbook out of what Kentucky did to them last week. They couldn't get to Kentucky defensively because they released the ball so quick, and they've kind of looked at that and said, hey, we're going to do that ourselves.
On 2nd down, Carter lost it to Champ Bailey. Flag thrown near the line of scrimmage. Bailey down to the 3-yard line. But there was a flag thrown near the line, thrown late. Georgia had an eligible man downfield, and that is a critical penalty.
Quincy Carter under duress. He hangs in there like a big-time quarterback, just a freshman. He gets that pressure from the Florida. They whack him, but he doesn't care because he knows he's completed the ball.
Marquand Manuel delivered the hit. Let's see if we can detect the men downfield.
Looked like half the Georgia offensive line. They're running a quick screen. They're going down. The ball's got to be thrown behind the line of scrimmage, and it wasn't. It was thrown over the line of scrimmage. It's a good call by the officials.
We've seen great officiating in this league all year.
Foul is ineligible receiver downfield by the offense. The penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot. 2nd down.
They seem to have found something with all these inside passes. As you said, Coach, borrowing a play from the Kentucky playbook. Carter, again, just a 4-man rush. Pump fake. Brown is open. The throw was low. He couldn't stay on his feet. Had that been an accurate throw by Carter, Brown was going to run for a first down. Now they'll have to convert on 3rd down and short, 3rd and about 2 at the Florida 17, and the clock runs under a minute remaining in the half, and Georgia and Florida are out of timeouts. Spread formation out of the Florida playbook. Carter underneath, Small, first down, much more. Tony Small lost the football! And the Gators appear to have recovered. They have at the 5-yard line.
John, it was a quick screen once again to Tony Small, the play that has really hurt Florida. Carter completes it. Tony Small gets up the field. But Tony George and Tico Brown, they come over to strip it and knock it loose. What a play by the Florida defense to save the touchdown.
And now Johnson takes a knee. A huge mistake, the first turnover by Jim Donnan's Dog, right when it looked like they were on the verge of getting within a touchdown. They'll head to the locker room on a downer. Coach, I'd guess that neither coach is going to be particularly pleased now in the locker room. Spurrier was delighted with the start, but things turned sour for his team in a hurry, and the Jim Donnan team with a big turnover there.
And Jim's got to really work psychologically with his team now, because that was a bitter disappointment to them, but they still have a chance. Obviously, that last drive, they were able to move the ball.
Here's Mike Mayock.
Hey, Coach, had 21-0, a chance to put them away, a couple turnovers.
Yeah, we fumbled down here, and then we threw an interception. We didn't have many ball plays there in the second quarter, but our defense has got to stop them. They're hitting all them 4th downs, and hopefully we won't have those turnovers, but we feel like we can move the ball.
Okay, second half against Auburn, Coach, you kind of pulled the horns in a little bit offensively. That happened today?
Well, we hadn't stopped Georgia much second quarter since first, so.
Okay, Coach, thank you. Sean?
That's the end of the first half with the score, Florida 21 and Georgia 7. Stay tuned as Tim Brando, Craig James, and Lou Holtz bring you up to date on all today's scores and highlights on the AXA and Equitable Halftime Report.
When is it time to say goodbye to your best friend? Wednesday at 11 on News Channel 4.
Jointly by AXA and the Equitable.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Broadcast Center in New York, the College Football Today studios. AXA and Equitable Halftime Report. I'm Tim Brando with the score in Jacksonville. The Gators leading the Dogs in the cocktail party, 21-7. Joining me, Craig James and Lou Holtz. And, you know, guys, you look at this game. Lou, in particular, Georgia's inability to stop Florida in the air as well as the ground, but Georgia's always got that comeback ability.
Well, when you have two good football teams, the momentum's going to go back and forth. If somebody doesn't get up off the ground, you got a rout like Kansas State over some other ones. That's what makes this an extra interesting game.
Yeah. You know, I think, you know, when I watch this ball game, and Steve Spurrier, you mentioned in pregame that he was upset with the way the crowd was talking, and everybody, his players and everything. You know, his football team gets out 21-0, like they did a couple of weeks ago against Auburn, but they don't keep it on. They got to keep pouring it on and knocking them out, and I think they had the chance to knock out Georgia this
Well,
game.
remember, when you got Champ Bailey, you got Quincy Carter, you have playmakers. A busy day in college football. You might say that there are some playmakers for Ohio State. Today, trying to make them against Indiana, they're leading 21-0 in the second. IU's winless in 12 games against #1 ranked schools. Kansas State, how about this for a playmaker? The best quarterback the country knows the least about, Michael Bishop in the rain.
I think they know about it, but they're just not giving him his proper pops in this thing. We're going to do about it here in this highlight. Michael Bishop takes it in for the touchdown, 8th rushing touchdown of the year for him. They were up 7-0. He wasn't finished, though. A much better quarterback, a much better passer this year. This one here, the Justin Swift. And there it's a romp, man. I mean, a total romp. Michael Bishop stays in the game. 3 touchdowns on the day, 2 on the ground. This guy, they are just blowing people out. And this was a credible opponent.
The thing no one wants to say is because he's a junior college player, he doesn't get enough pub. Tennessee and South Carolina. Volunteers trying to roll over the Gamecocks at Williams-Brice Stadium.
Well, Tennessee came up with a great passing game. You're going to see T. Martin hit Cedric Wilson for a touchdown. T. Martin, 23 out of 23, set an NCAA completion record. He threw it for over 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. And I want to tell you, this is a quarterback dream. Throw the ball 5 yards, let a guy run at 80, and Tennessee wins decisively.
T. Martin, as you said, 23 of 23. Peyton Manning only completed 12 consecutive passes when he was there. All right, on to Texas and Nebraska at halftime. The Longhorns, their first meeting since they shocked Nebraska in the Big 12 title game in '96. Penn State and Illinois, Nittany Lions roll. Jopa going and getting his 304th career win today. Arkansas and Auburn, a very big game for the Razorbacks for a lot of reasons, but for Tennessee's sake, they needed Arkansas to stay unbeaten.
Well, this was a very physical game. You're going to see DeMontre Carter bust his way for 10 yards. Just a good hard hit in a game the way the SEC should play football, and they normally do. And here you're going to see a little bit of trickery by Houston. Not a wraparound draw. The front guy gets it. Eric Brands goes through the line for 14 yards. This is the way football should be played.
Well, remember, their one road game was Memphis, and then they go on the road to South Carolina. This is a team that really needed some credibility, and today against Auburn, because of that defense, I think they got some.
Yeah, they got that today, but I tell you what I'm noticing, though. You look at Auburn. This is a football team that looks like the players are mad at Terry Bowden for leaving, and they're doing some of those, I'm going to show you this and that. You know, when you talk about the SEC, look at LSU. That loss, that hurts big time Notre Dame down the road because they need credible opponents.
The most impressive thing about this game was Arkansas had no idea what changes Oliver was going to make. It's like open up with an opponent you've never been able to scout. So that was impressive. Right. Don't underestimate Arkansas. Those fans could call the Hogs. Whoa,
remember this, though. Houston Nutt inherited Danny Ford's talent, so kudos to Coach Ford. Speaking of Coach Ford, he had a few frays when he was at Clemson against Virginia and Wake. 17-9 the score now at halftime between those two. The Baylor Bears, Dave Roberts, former offensive coordinator for the Irish, getting pummeled now by Notre Dame 24-3. West Virginia, Virginia Tech, very big game in the Big East for a variety of reasons. Don Nalen needed his team to rebound after the Miami game.
He wore the wrong uniform today. Virginia Tech's Ricky Hall, who returned a block punt the first quarter for a touchdown, scores his second of the game on this 36-yard pass from Al Clark. They teach special teams, offense, and defense, too, at Virginia Tech. Good job. Mark Bulger hounded all day, intercepted by Ike Charlton, his third pick of the day. Tech goes on to win 27-13. Now, Virginia Tech open next week and in the 14th at Syracuse.
And they gave that so many ways. Blocked 2 kicks, picked off 4 passes in the second half, 4 quarterback sacks. Earlier today, Louisville basketball coach Denny Crum collapsed while preparing to board a flight at Louisville International Airport. Crum was at a ticket counter when he reported feeling dizzy and lightheaded. He was conscious when he reached the hospital, but he collapsed again and was held for observation. The reason for Crum's condition was not immediately available. Coming up on the College Football Today AXA and Equitable Halftime Report, we'll continue with a look of more of today's action. If you don't get it to Travis McGriff, give it to Travis Taylor. The football action continues tomorrow with the NFL on CBS. It's regional coverage. Many of you will see Denver take on Cincinnati. Check local listings. And it all begins at noon Eastern with the NFL Today. Jim Nantz, Brent Jones, George Seifert, and Marcus Allen will have all the latest NFL news and information. Plus, Bonnie Bernstein looks at Jets quarterback Vinny Testaverde. And more of Jim Nantz's interview with Lawrence Taylor. That's all coming up tomorrow at noon Eastern on the NFL Today. Welcome back to the College Football Today AXA and Equitable Halftime Report. We return to the college scoreboard and quickly update that Indiana game. Ohio State needs to roll over Indiana, but Antoine Randall L. gets in with a touchdown pass to make it 21-7, so we can update that game. Tulane, the poster boy for the have-nots in college football, rolling over Southwest Louisiana. Tommy Bowden getting it done again. Pitt and Syracuse, 45-28. Donovan McNabb would like to think he's still a Heisman candidate.
Yeah, maybe in your ballot, not in mine, though. This guy, though, was on target all day, 54 yards out to Maurice Jackson for the touchdown. Hey, defensive backs, this guy's got a big gun. Stay deep. Get back there. He continues the onslaught, showing his skills, running the option, keeps us from 6 yards out in the touchdown. He's a heck of a football player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not Tim Couch.
326 yards of offense, 3 touchdowns, 2 of them in the air for McNabb. Mizzou and Texas Tech. This game started a bit late because of inclement weather, but Mizzou with Formie Jones, Devin West, 21 second quarter points in the game. Missouri, show me to Texas Tech today. 15-10 Michigan against Minnesota, coming off that big win against Michigan State. They got trying to do it again today, Lou.
Well, this looks like it might be an upset, but Michigan quarterback Tom Brady throws a 76-yard pass to Ty Street. Ty Street had 6 receptions, 192 yards, 1 touchdown. That sounds like a career. So Michigan takes the lead 7-3. With the score tied 10-all, Michigan is going to get a safety by Billy Cockerham.
Well, the Little Brown Jug for the 12th season in a row goes to Michigan. but nothing in that jug for Ohio State with a win like that against a prohibitive underdog for Michigan. Air Force and SMU, uh-oh, Pony. Sorry. 31-7 the final in the first meeting since 71 between those two. Georgia Tech and Maryland. George O'Leary's team trying to rebound after that dismal second half against Florida State at Bobby Dodd Stadium.
We've got a nice story for you, Timmy D. Joe Burns entered the game with 175 total yards on the year. He had 179 today. This one here, the pitch down the sideline. 44-yard run for the touchdown. Ron Vanderlyn and his ball club just didn't show up with enough juice today. Then Georgia Tech puts the game well out of reach. 12-yard pass from Hamilton to Ed Wilder. Yellow Jackets going to win 31-14.
Remember, this score was tied at 14 at the half. LSU and Ole Miss, clearly the most disappointing team in the SEC this year. Jerry DiNardo's Tigers.
Yeah, but it was a good game. We loved it here. 4th and goal, time running out. Herb Tyler's going to roll right and find Rondell Mealy. 2 seconds to go in the game. LSU scores 21 unanswered points in the 4th quarter. They go to overtime. Ole Miss would answer. You know, this was a team that really needed to come out and do something here in the overtime because they stalled in the 4th quarter. Corey Peterson scores. They missed the extra point. LSU gets it back. And Herb Tyler trying to do a little magic again on 4th down. Pass intended for Larry Foster. Senator Taylor defends. Tough times to catch the football, no question. But if you're an LSU fan, you say, catch the football.
Bottom line, any team that throws is a threat to beat LSU this year. Southern Miss and Alabama, the Crimson Tide, an underdog in this game to the Golden Eagles, lead by 10. NC State rocks Clemson's world, 46-39. Tommy West cannot get it done again. Washington and USC. Remember, Huskies still get UCLA, trailing to the Trojans, who also have to play the Bruins before the season's over. And congratulations to Gary Blackney and Bowling Green. They knock off the thundering herd of Marshall, Jim Donnan's old team, their first loss of the year. Coming up, the second half of Florida versus Georgia. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the rest of the game.
The College Football Today AXA and Equitable Halftime Report has been sponsored jointly by AXA and the Equitable.
We welcome you back to Jacksonville at halftime. Florida leads Georgia 21-7. Sunday on CBS. When the mob murders an innocent family, Chuck Norris prepares for battle in Logan's War, Bound by Honor, a world premiere movie, Sunday at 9/8 Central on CBS. It was an emotion-filled first half. As usual, when Georgia and Florida get together, we'll be back for the second half kickoff in a moment. Along the banks of the St. Johns River, Florida leads Georgia 21-7 as we near the beginning of the third quarter. A moment ago, Mike Mayock spoke with Jim Donnan.
We ready? Coach, first half, you got down early again. You got to climb out of a hole.
Yeah, we really did. Give Florida a lot of credit. We tried to get after them, and they ran some good man routes on us. And offensively came up short a couple of times on 2nd and 3rd down. But, you know, we have a chance. We're still going to fight them hard. It looks like they're getting a little tired maybe, and we just got to fight them hard.
Good luck in the second half, Jim.
And Donnan's offense will get the ball to begin the second half as Jeff Chandler will kick off to Champ Bailey and Patrick Pass. That's Bailey standing at the 4-yard line. And the second half is underway. And it's Champ Bailey. Upended at the 23-yard line. Well, we heard some thoughts from Coach Jim Donnan. Oh, thank you to the guys in the truck for that. Happy Halloween to you, Coach. We heard some thoughts from Jim Donnan at halftime, but I'd imagine a lot of his halftime talk had to be to get his team back up after that heartbreaking fumble.
I think that's the whole thing now, psychologically, Sean. You're in the biggest game of the year. You got to get your team to respond. And as you said, the fumble took the momentum away from them. But they've moved the ball effectively, particularly at the end of the first half. So they're going to have a chance here. If they can come out and play like they did at the end of the first half, they can get back in the game.
How come I'm always the dog? That's what I want to know, Coach. There's a connection. Small trying to atone for that fumble. Into Florida territory at the 44-yard line. That's a gain of 34 yards. Rod Grady and Benny Alexander made the tackle.
Well, Georgia comes with a little counter bootleg pass to try and take away some of that aggressiveness of the Florida defense. Small just runs a little out route. Quincy Carter finds him just hanging out on the sideline, wide open. and he does a nice job of getting the ball up the field after the catch for the positive gain.
Small from a football family. His brother Eddie was a terrific wide receiver at Ole Miss. Tony's one of 10 native Floridians on this Georgia team. And he's from Jacksonville. He's open again across the middle. Trying to break tackles. What an effort by Small, and he's down to the 22-yard line. Tripped up by Rod Grady. 22 more on consecutive plays. They've gone for 34 and 22 to Small.
Tony Small just runs an inside route. He breaks it off to the inside. He's a slot receiver. It's a little play fake by Quincy Carter to hold those linebackers underneath, and there's just no linebacker help there. Small finds that area and gets in there for the big gain. Quincy Carter doing a nice job of hanging in that pocket, releases the ball high. Well, I'm impressed with him, Sean, for a big game, for a true freshman athlete.
He's been outstanding. 18 out of 27 for 162 yards. He's pressured from behind, so he keeps the ball and goes to the 20 for a gain of 2. Tim Beauchamp able to run him down. Time now for a look at the Xerox halftime statistics.
Probably the thing that jumps out at you is the time of possession. Georgia, 19 minutes. Florida, only 10. They've done a good job of keeping the ball away from the Florida offense. But as Jim Donnan pointed out, maybe Florida's getting a little bit tired. This is an opportunity for his team in the second half to come out and really try to take it to the Florida team.
Well, Steve Spurrier said on his way off the field at halftime, we didn't get many ball plays in the second quarter. His team wasn't on offense very long, and one Georgia touchdown drive took almost 8 minutes. Carter throws, caught. Michael Greer lunges toward the yard marker, very close to a first down. Mike Peterson made the tackle on Greer. Georgia impressive out of the locker room, and I think one indicator of a good coaching staff is how you do in the third quarter, because a lot of times it's a product of adjustments that you make, and Georgia is excellent in the third quarter.
No question. They've come out of this locker room on fire. They have moved that ball and kind of really picked up where they left off at the end of the first half.
No sign of hanging their heads after that big fumble by Swall in the waning seconds of the first half. It looked like they're about to score to get within a touchdown. Quarterback throw. Carter has room to the far sideline. And he's collared inside the 10 at the 7 by Marquand Manuel, the redshirt freshman from Miami, better known among the Gators as Eminem, and known as a member of a big family as well. He has 17 brothers and sisters. And he's a good all-purpose player. They use him a lot to blitz. He's good in coverage as a reserve defensive back, and he's a very good special teams player. Second down and 5 in the opening minutes of the second half. Georgia once down 21-0, trying to get right back in the game. Carter, a screen in traffic incomplete. He was looking for Thad Parker. And now a big third down and 5 upcoming.
It was that same play that they attacked Florida so successfully with it during the end of the first half. They threw it 3 straight times. Here it is again. It's just a little underneath slip screen. They're just trying to get the ball quick. Should have been caught really for a gain, but although Florida defensed it very well that particular time.
Late substitutions coming into the huddle here. Quincy Carter still waiting for the personnel on the play, and the play clock is down to 10, and they have to burn a timeout. They had problems with clock management in the first half, and those carry over into the second. Out of the Georgia timeout, a big play for the Bulldogs. Third down and 5 at the Florida 7.
And Sean, Jim Donnan had to decide, are they in 2-point or 2-play status or 1-play status?
Carter throws incomplete. Looking for Michael Greer. And we'll see if Jim Donnan decides to go for it. Now he's going to try a field goal. Hap Hines comes on.
I think this is the right call. You come out of the locker room, you have a nice opening drive. You want to get points. It's too early to go for it on fourth down in this particular situation. If you kick the field goal successfully, you're down 21-10, but you've got some momentum, a little bit of momentum on your side. And 2 good drives with the end of the first half and then this drive.
Hines, a junior from Marietta, Georgia. He's had an up-and-down career. Quincy Carter's the holder, and Hines missed it. Well, if the fumble at the end of the half wasn't deflating for Georgia, perhaps this one will be. Looked like Hines took a long time to get to the ball. When he finally did, it never had a chance. It was immediately left as he kicked from the left hash mark. Florida on offense for the first time in the second half after this.
NASDAQ College Football on CBS is sponsored by Suzuki, Sun America, Old Milwaukee, and by Midas.
Javon Kirsch, number 42, one of the best athletes in the country, coming up the middle on a middle block, sacrificing his body for Florida. But watch Benny Alexander, number 30. Oh, I thought we were going to get a roughing the kicker there on that.
We'll have a chance to look at it in a moment, but the Gators are at the line, and it's Eugene McCaslin. With a first down and more, he delivers a stiff arm and goes out of bounds at the 35-yard line. He gave the stiff arm to Jeff Harris. Here's what you were talking about, Coach. It certainly looked like Hap Hines was hit by Benny Alexander, and it could have been roughing the kicker.
Well, I thought it was, and Quincy Carter was yelling at the referee. He thought definitely it was roughing the kicker. I think it is. And Quincy Carter, right there, he's pointing. He sees it. He's trying to get the call, but they didn't get the call.
Well, it's been a well-officiated game, but that seems to be a major miss. I mean, that's a major non-call. Georgia would have benefited greatly from it, obviously. They're trying to set up the screen. It was well defended. And it fell incomplete. Tonight on Early Edition, it's a haunted Halloween for a group of children who could be poisoned by candied apples. Then a corrupt defense attorney hires professional athletes to steal evidence on martial law. And the Halloween terror continues when a group of devil worshippers hold innocent children hostage on Walker, Texas Ranger. It's America's Night of Heroes tonight on CBS. Johnson on 2nd and 10. Throws it near side to Travis McGriff. And he gets pushed out of bounds. Actually stepped out before the shove back at the 37-yard line. Orontis Grant gets credit for the tackle. Grant made 22 tackles last week against Kentucky. That was a career high for the junior from Atlanta, who is their team leading tackler for the season. 5 receivers spread the field. Quickly up to the line, the Gators on 3rd down and 9. Johnson took a long time looking at the defense, and he has McGriff for a first down out to the 50-yard line. He got tackled ahead to the Georgia 48 by Kirby Smart.
Well, it was really a nice job by Travis McGriff. Georgia dropped 8 people into the pass coverage. They only rushed 3 guys, and there were a lot of seams in there. McGriff is as good as anybody in this part of the country trying to find those seams and getting open for his quarterback.
He was just named one of the 10 semifinalists for the Bolitnikoff Award of the best receiver in the nation. McCaslin tackled from behind by Terrence Smith, number 85, a true freshman from Folkston, Georgia. Same hometown that sent the Bailey brothers to the University of Georgia. Folkston's not far from here, down on the Florida-Georgia border.
Steve Spurrier over there signaling the plays in, telling Doug Johnson what he wants. He's got the Georgia defense spread out. Now he takes a look and then tells Doug Johnson what he wants called.
Bad snap, but Johnson's still able to pick it up and complete it. Alex Willis with a first down, out of bounds at the 27-yard line.
Well, sometimes, Sean, when it goes good for you, it just goes good for you. The ball gets away from the center. He just rolls it back. Doug Johnson, having a clear head, picks it up and hits Willis on a little post corner route on the sideline. It's a perfect throw.
Corey Yarbrough is the center who moved into the starting lineup this week. He opened the season as the starter at center, but suffered a knee injury very early in the opener against the Citadel. And has played sparingly since. 3 catches today for Willis. That was a total for the year. Entering this game, Nafis Kareem close to another first down at the 19-yard line. Marlos Leroy downfield to make the tackle.
Same play, Sean, that Georgia has hurt Florida on. That was just a reverse. Florida hurting Georgia on that little quick screen inside to Kareem.
Nafis Kareem is a Georgia native who had actually committed to the University of Georgia out of high school. He grew up idolizing Herschel Walker, was a big Georgia fan, but after he visited the Florida campus, he said he was very impressed by the winning attitude around the program. The coaches and the players, who changed his mind and went to Florida. There's Willis again. A sophomore from Jacksonville. Now has 4 catches today, 1 more than he had for the whole season coming into today. Where's that number 80 for his idol, Jerry Rice?
But you got to give Doug Johnson some credit here. He finds Willis wide open on the sideline. Doug Johnson looked down the field deep, then came back underneath to Willis, who had run a short route in the flat.
First and goal, Gators. They're at the Georgia 8-yard line. Johnson to McGriff. A missed tackle. And McGriff is just back to the line of scrimmage. And Marlos Leroy tackled him after Orontis Grant missed him. And it'll be second down and goal for Florida. It's interesting, we talked to Steve Spurrier. You asked him a question about how often do they audible, how often does he call the audibles, and he said maybe only 5 or 8 times a game. Part of it is because I can't yell loud enough to be heard over the crowd, and a lot of times I just call out the audibles.
Yeah, I think Steve would rather yell it. Sometimes he sees it. He doesn't necessarily want to signal. He just yells it in.
10th play of the drive. It came after a missed Georgia field goal. Johnson with all day to throw, ducks it underneath, and it is incomplete through the hands of Eugene McCaslin. And Kirby Smart was nearest in coverage, but that appeared to be a catchable ball.
Eugene McCaslin just runs a little dump route. He comes off, just goes right into the center of the formation, turns around, wanting the ball, gets it, hits him right in the hands, just deflected a little bit.
By Richard Seymour. McCaslin on the sideline. They go with the 5 wideouts on third down and goal from the 7-yard line. Johnson again with lots of time to the end zone, incomplete. Looking for Nafis Kareem. And now Florida will try a field goal.
Doug Johnson trying to get the ball to Darrell Jackson on a little stop route right over the line. He's number 9. He's going to just come down the field, turn over the goal line. The ball is well thrown. Really should be a touchdown. Really should have been a touchdown. He saw it. Steve Spurrier knew he had it.
I think the toughest duty today is to be Steve Spurrier's visor. Jeff Chandler boots it through. Well, Georgia missed the field goal. Florida makes on its first possession of the second half, and the Gators' lead is now 17.
The Heisman Watch, sponsored by Suzuki.
Tim Brando and Greg James here in New York. A look now at the latest in the Heisman Trophy race. And for Michael Bishop, I'll take Manhattan, if only Kansas.
I like that line, sweetheart. But let's talk about this guy's athletic ability. A 26-yard run. It would lead to a field goal and a 23-6 lead. Michael Bishop is 43-1 in his career in college. He's 16-0 since that one loss to Nebraska. Then he scampers around the right side. His 3rd touchdown of the day, 2nd on the ground, and they blow him out 54-6.
For more information on the Heisman Watch, log on to cbs.sportsline.com.
Should we surmise that they are Georgia fans traveling down the St. Johns River with the dog on the front of the boat?
I think it's just a guy out fishing with his dog and his girlfriend.
What a beautiful night to be anywhere outdoors. We have a record crowd in attendance here for Alltel Stadium, 84,321. They look down on Champ Bailey, who goes nowhere with the kickoff return. Outstanding coverage by Florida, and Bailey was stopped at the 17-yard line. Alex Brown among those down on the kickoff coverage. Time now for the Aflac trivia question. Appropriate backdrop. The shuttle took off not far from here just a couple of days ago. The largest margin of victory
in the history of the great rivalry between Florida and Georgia, which began in 1915. Orlandis Gary, the lone back. He goes to a very big hole. And out to the 30-yard line with a first down. Rod Grady made the stop. A gain of 13 for Gary.
You know, it's interesting watching the Georgia offense. They have exhibited the ability to move the ball against this Florida defense. They've done it consistently, actually, after the first quarter of the game. They got it going, and they've done it here in the second half. They just have been unable to get those points when they've needed them.
Last two possessions, very impressive marches by Georgia, but they ended with a fumble inside the 10-yard line and with a missed 24-yard field goal. Another gaping hole for Gary, and he hurdles ahead to the 46-yard line, sent airborne by Chico Brown. 16 on the run for Gary.
Gary is attacking the line of scrimmage, but the Georgia offensive line is controlling it. Number 70, Chris Terry, the big right tackle, opens that hole so that tailback's able to get through there.
Javon Kearse is heading to the locker room. And we'll get an update on his condition from Mike Mayock as soon as he can ascertain Javon's problem. Carter, late pitch, good catch by Gary. He gets belted at the 50-yard line by Johnny Rutledge. They've had a couple of harrowing moments with those option pitches.
Well, Quincy Carter did a great job coming down the line of scrimmage here. It shows his athletic talent. All of a sudden, he gets jumped, he pitches that ball, makes a perfect pitch. The thing about Georgia, I don't want to play what if, Sean, but what if they score right there before the first half? What if they kick that field goal? The game is so different than it is currently.
Still a long way to go. These teams both capable of striking very quickly. This time they're ready for Gary on the run. No gain. Here is Mike Mayock.
Sean, Javon Kearse has been cramping extensively in this heat down here. They took him into the locker room. They'll either hydrate him, or if necessary, they'll put him in the IV to get the hydration into him as quickly as possible. So they expect him back in, but they're just taking caution here.
Javon Kearse, a junior, but he has indicated recently that this is likely to be his last year at the University of Florida, and if he does leave, he'll be one of the top picks in the NFL draft next year. He's from Fort Myers. Third down and 5 at midfield. More than midway through the third quarter, Florida leads by 17. Quick pass, too quick for Tony Small. He was just turning toward the ball when the pass landed near his feet.
Florida brought the blitz, and it was well picked up by the Georgia backfield. But the wide receiver, Tony Small, as you pointed out, Sean, just didn't get his eyes around quickly enough. You can watch number 22, Gary. He'll pick up the blitzer to the left of the screen. He's got that guy. The ball's a little bit off target. Small wasn't quite quick enough.
And they're going to punt on 4th and 5. This wouldn't be a bad part of the field or a situation perhaps for a fake, but they do stick with the punt. And it's another low, wobbly kick from Wynn Kopp, caught by Travis McGriff at the 17-yard line, a 33-yard punt. In this presentation of NASDAQ College Football Florida League, 24-7. Tomorrow, the NFL returns to the center stage on CBS, beginning at 1 Eastern time. Most of you will see Denver and Cincinnati. New England and Indianapolis among the other early games, and the hometown Jacksonville Jaguars have traveled up to Baltimore to take on the struggling Ravens, the Jets in Kansas City at 4:05 Eastern time. It all begins with the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines at noon Eastern time tomorrow. Johnson swings it out quickly, and Champ Bailey closes quickly to put the hit on Nafis Kareem.
One of the things Steve Spurrier told us when you asked him, Sean, what's the best thing about Champ Bailey? He said he has such great closing speed. This is an example. He closes the gap between he and that receiver so quickly. He can get there so fast. All of a sudden, a big gain was just taken away, made into a small one.
A gain of 4. 6 minutes left, third quarter. Eugene McCaslin trying to break through the hit, but he could not. Brandon Miller dropped him for a loss. Back at the 18-yard line.
Brandon Miller just slanted to the inside, number 51. He just is so quick, you can watch him. He's the guy. He just comes inside. McCaslin never gets a chance to get started.
Brandon Miller's a junior from Greensboro, Georgia. Last year, he received 3 write-in votes for mayor in his hometown of Greensboro, and the election was decided by 1 vote. So 3 write-in votes might have cost the loser victory in that mayoral race in Greensboro, Georgia. The winner won with 325 votes. Pass over the middle, first down, Travis Taylor. And he's tackled by Glenn Ford out at the 35-yard line. A big conversion on 3rd down for Florida. And right now the game has taken on the tone of every time Florida needs a big play, it makes it, and Georgia just can't come up with the big play or break when it needs it.
Now, Travis Taylor ran an inside route against Glenn Ford, number 7, and just came across the field.
Johnson providing the play to the backfield. And it's Rob Roberts again at fullback with the injury early to Rod Frazier out of the sprained knee to join us late. McCaslin with some tough running out to the 41-yard line.
John, going back to your last comment, and it's so true. Georgia holds, they hold, and then all of a sudden Florida will make the big throw or the big run. Something happens. They just are always a little bit a step ahead, and they have been really since the opening kickoff.
So the yardage evening up after that dramatic edge for Florida early when the Gators raced off to the 21-0 lead. 2nd down and 4. This season with the lead, we haven't seen the same approach from Florida that we've seen in the past. Usually they continue with the punt and gun and sling it all over the field and run up points. But this year with the turnover problems, the offensive line problems, inexperience at wide receiver, Steve Spurrier played it very conservative to the point where 2 weeks ago with the big lead against Auburn at home, they were playing close to the best, and Steve Spurrier was booed for the first time anybody can remember doing so.
Yeah, that was really a shocking event, actually. I mean, I can't imagine trying to boo Steve Spurrier after what he's done at the university, but it just shows you the way fans are. You know, they pay high prices for tickets. They want to be entertained, and when they're not entertained, I guess they boo.
3rd and 3. Don't forget, they've never won an SEC championship before Spurrier became coach. They've won 5 since he got there in 1990. Now, that time they didn't convert. There is a flag down at the line of scrimmage as Alex Willis couldn't come up with a 3rd and 3 pass. Antonio Cochran got to Johnson. That will likely be turned down by Georgia and bring up 4th down. Steve Spurrier with 89 wins in 8+ seasons. This is 9th as head coach at his alma mater. The record for wins in first 9 years as a head coach at a major college in this century
Foul
is
was
90.
illegal touching by a covered-up receiver. The foul is declined. It'll be 4th down.
Barry Switzer had that mark at Oklahoma, and Spurrier is going to whiz by him by the time this season is over. Some murmurings that Barry Switzer might be coming back to Oklahoma. There apparently is a booster group trying to make that happen.
I'd be surprised, Sean. I just don't believe that that'll happen at the University of Oklahoma. I think there'll probably in all likelihood be a coaching change, but I'd be surprised, not shocked, but surprised if Switzer came back.
Good punt by David Wasilewski. And Michael Greer ran it back. There was some concern about Wasilewski during the off week. He sprained an ankle while playing a pickup basketball game, but he was sufficiently recovered to punt well today. Time now to answer our Aflac trivia question, the largest margin of victory in any game in the long history of this rivalry. I must confess I do not know the answer.
75-0. Oh, I was right.
You, I tell you what.
I got it out there before it was on there, didn't I?
Did. Frank Sinkwich was on his way to the Heisman Trophy that year. Did you coach against him that season?
Oh, that was mean. That was mean. All right, it's Halloween. Anything goes now.
That's right. Georgia won 75-0, but in recent years they took a couple of pastings from Florida, including 47-7 a couple of years ago. Steve Spurrier, there was an illegal procedure against Florida, so they're going to punt again. Steve Spurrier said last year his team definitely took Georgia lightly. Perhaps that's natural when you've walloped them 7 years in a row. This year, earlier in the week, he had assistant coaches, did Spurrier, providing historical tidbits about the rivalry, trying to build up the respect for Georgia, letting them know for many, many years, Georgia dominated this rivalry. There's been tremendous emotion, a lot of very big games, and he wanted to do that to help get his team back up for this game.
And I think as a head coach, too, Sean, you kind of get the feeling that sometimes your team tunes you out. And another voice, another face can be effective, and I think that's what Steve felt.
A return by Champ Bailey to the 33, so accepting the penalty results in better field position for Georgia. Steve Spurrier still says that 66 loss when he was the quarterback is the most bitter of his career. Last year's wasn't so wonderful either, when Georgia came into the ballgame ranked number 14 in the nation, and Florida was number 6. As we take you back to Alltel Stadium 1 year ago, the man of the moment for Georgia was Robert Edwards, who tied the Bulldog school record for 4 rushing touchdowns. And the Dogs pulled away late 37-17, ending their 7-game losing streak to the Gators. And it was the only loss for Spurrier's head coach at Florida against Georgia. Inside handoff, Orlandis Gary out to the 35 for a pickup of 2.
Handoff to number 22, Orlandis Gary.
Alex Brown made the tackle for the University of Florida. Gary's one of 3 team captains on this Georgia offense, and the other 2, interestingly, are offensive tackles, Stinchcomb and Terry.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that you have 2 offensive linemen. They're up there in the trench warriors, as I like to call them. They're up there battling every day. And, you know, it's nice to get a leadership role when you're not recognized very much.
Second and 8, over the middle, Small, tackled around the ankles of the 50-yard line by Marquand Manuel, or he might have broken away. A 15-yard gain, another first down for Georgia, but now the time is becoming a factor. Under 3 minutes left in the third quarter.
These quick inside slants have hurt the Florida defense today. Georgia's been able to execute them well, and once again, Tony Small, a little quick inside slant.
Bob Stoops signaling in the defense. He's a hot commodity on the coaching rumor mill, and he says he's ready and very anxious to become a head coach, but he's not going to jump at any opportunity. He wants to go where he knows he has a great chance to be successful. Champ Bailey the catch. And he heads to the sideline, very close to a first down. At the 40-yard line of Florida, Mike Peterson and Tony George combined to run him out. A record crowd here at Alltel Stadium in Jacksonville. They actually add to the capacity of this stadium with some temporary seating just for this game. Sean McDonough and Terry Donahue and Mike Mayock, delighted to have you with us as Florida and Georgia renew one of the great rivalries in all of college football. A very important game for these 2 teams, both with full championship series aspirations, both still with some hopes in the SEC, although they'll need help from Tennessee's opponents the rest of the way. But the loser of this game is basically out of consideration for both the SEC title and the national title. Gary delivers the blow to Rod Grady as he lowered the shoulder on 2nd and 1 and picked up the first down.
Boy, you talk about a hit. Now, that was a hit delivered by a running back against a defensive player.
And it was a quick hit delivered by Florida. They came out with 2 25-yard touchdown passes from Johnson to Travis Taylor and Darrell Jackson. Then Johnson scored on a keeper, and it was 21-0 after 1. But Georgia controlled the play in the second quarter. An 80-yard drive resulted in a touchdown. But then here in the third quarter, Jeff Chandler's kicked the field goal at 24-7. After the Georgia touchdown late in the first half, they were inside the 10 again and fumbled. And they've also missed a very short field goal this evening. Jermaine Wiggins the catch for a short gain near the 32-yard line. Like Orlandis Gary, he transferred from Marshall to Georgia when Jim Donnan made the moves from the Thundering Herd to the Bulldogs.
Now, Georgia has 2 really nice-looking tight ends in Larry Brown and Jermaine Wiggins, and it's nice to have those kind of guys. That time they were able to move the quarterback, Quincy Carter, get him away from a little bit of that pressure, just dump the ball out in the flat to Wiggins, and that's a big old target at 6'2", 260 pounds.
He's a senior from East Boston, Massachusetts. Waning moments of the third quarter, and Georgia in dire need of a score, down by 17. Carter, short, again it's Wiggins, and he rumbled close to the first down, but came up just short of the 25-yard line in the arms of Gerard Warren and Johnny Rutledge.
You know, coming into the game, Sean, the Georgia defense was kind of known as the bend but don't break defense. But when you watch the game, the Florida defense is kind of bent today a little bit at times, but they haven't given up big plays, and they've been stingy on the scoreboard, which is what you want. Bob Stoops, he knows that he's got the clock on his side. The enemy now for Georgia is not only the Florida Gators, but it's the clock.
Usually Florida likes to attack on defense, Coach, but today with Georgia obviously putting the premium on the quick hitters in the passing game, why bother to rush the quarterback if you can't get there? The handoff was missed on 3rd and 1 as Carter and Bradley fumbled the exchange, and that's a big play. On 3rd and 1, they lose yardage, and now they make it a tougher conversion on a 4th down they certainly have to go for.
Sean, what happened was Georgia came out in an unbalanced line. They rushed to the line of scrimmage trying to outflank Florida, but they never got the ball exchanged. Quincy Carter just couldn't get around.
That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score Florida 24 and Georgia 7. We'll return to Alltel Stadium after this message and a word from your local station.
What's Cool on the Rocks? Friday at 11 on News Channel 4.
Big play to begin the 4th quarter. Georgia with Javon Curse back on the field for Florida, looking at 4th down and 2 at the Florida 27. Carter on a rollout, trying to run for it, and he appears to have it just inside the 25-yard line, and it was Curse just back from the locker room where they hydrated him, running him out of bounds. That was a big conversion for Georgia.
There's no question, Sean, that keeps Georgia in the ball game. If they can just get a touchdown here, and you look back at the opportunities they've squandered, if they can get one here, they can get back in the game in the 4th quarter.
They're looking at 1st down and 10 now from just inside the Florida 25-yard line, and we might have prematurely given them the 1st down. It certainly looked from here like he got there, but they didn't have the yard marker actually where they needed to go. They had the yard marker right on the 25-yard line, and Carter went out near it, but he didn't have enough.
Quincy Carter comes out on a pass-run option. He decides to run the ball, and I thought for sure, and so did he.
Look at that orange marker. If he's well past that, and that's where he thought he had to go in all likelihood.
Exactly what happened, Sean. He saw the marker. He tried to go for it. He made it, but the marker wasn't placed properly on the field.
That's probably what he's saying to Jim Dunn. I mean, from here, it looked like he was past that with ease, that the orange marker there wasn't properly placed. Robert Gillespie now in a tailback, and the true freshman goes ahead for a couple. Well, that's what we've been talking about throughout the 2nd, 3rd, and now 4th quarters. Every little thing that Georgia has needed to have happen hasn't happened.
Yeah, they've been, they've just been out of rhythm, just a step out of rhythm from the very opening of the ball game. They just haven't been able. Florida looked quicker early in the game. Then Georgia came back, looked like they were going to have some opportunities, squandered those, and there's a perfect example. 4th down, you got to make that thing to get back in the game, and they come up just a few inches short.
Well, certainly Carter wouldn't have gone out of bounds right there if he didn't think he had the 1st down. He saw that orange strip undoubtedly. Here's Gillespie again. No question he has the 1st down. He's still on his feet. Out to the 46-yard line. Tackled by Marlis Leroy and Kirby Smart. That's a 19-yard pass play to Gillespie.
Doug Johnson does a nice job getting this ball out quickly to Gillespie. It's just a little quick screen out here. He just throws a little hitch to him. Now you've got the ball in a tailback's hands who's playing wide receiver. It's good strategy by the Florida coaches.
And the ball almost came out. Smart tried to knock it out. Doug is upset. Doug wants to go over and put a bite on whoever put that little orange thing on the ground across the field. Gillespie giving McCaslin a breather. And with fresh legs, he's into Georgia territory at the 46-yard line.
Gillespie's one of those little 5'9" tailbacks that's really got quickness. When he tacks the line, he can do it fast. He's got darting type running ability. Here he stumbles a little bit, but makes a very positive gain against the Georgia defense. You have to wonder that lack of a 4th down conversion, what it did psychologically to the whole Georgia team.
It's the latest blow to the Georgia psyche collectively. Second and short. And it's Gillespie straight ahead. Behind the offensive line surge, and they did knock the Georgia defenders off the ball. Gillespie has the first down.
You know,
well, it's certainly been a turnaround from a year ago for Doug Johnson. He's 24 out of 32 today for 298 yards. Last year, he was ineffective in the first half through 2 interceptions, and he was replaced to start the second half by the fifth-year senior walk-on Noah Brindise. Today, the numbers much better. One ill-advised interception, but it looked like there was some confusion in the end zone of the pass patterns that were run that might have caused Johnson to throw it into a crowd that he wasn't expecting. Gillespie was tackled by Kirby Smart for a loss on the play.
You know, Sean, in preparing for this game, one of the things that kind of shocked me was that Florida, after their last 4 defeats, when they have a rematch, an opportunity to play a team again, they've outscored their opponents 158-92 and have won with double digits every time, which tells you about the psyche of their team. You know, after they get beat, this is a group of athletes and coaches that say, hey, boys, you aren't going to do that to us again. They strap it on and get after you pretty good.
Haven't lost back-to-back to an SEC team since those Auburn victories in 93 and 94. Johnson bounced off a hit. And that's a face mask. Flags thrown from everywhere as Jeff Harris grabbed Johnson by the face mask.
Doug Johnson showing a little scrambling ability here. Pulls the ball down, makes a nice little run, breaks the tackle at the line of scrimmage. Now all of a sudden he gets into the secondary, switches the ball, which I promise you Steve Spurrier's not going to like, but a flagrant face mask violation there.
And it will be a 15-yard walk-off.
Foul is a personal foul. Face mask by the defense. The penalty will be 15 yards from the end of the run, resulting in a first down.
I think that's a good call, yes. Sean. I thought it was flagrant.
No question. I think Steve Spurrier might also prefer that Johnson go down a bit more easily. In the past, they've had an abundance of quarterbacks. Maybe it wouldn't matter, but Jesse Palmer is injured with a broken clavicle, and they do not have any kind of proven backup behind Johnson. Larry Rehart is the backup right now, and he's another 50-year senior walk-on who's played very little.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Steve will probably look at that film and tell Doug, hey, Doug, get on the ground.
They put it on the ground with Gillespie, and he squirts through another hole. Marcus Stroud made the tackle inside the 20, down at the 17-yard line, and now it seems that Florida has established a firm grasp on this one, up by 17 and marching with 11 minutes remaining.
Well, and they certainly have averaged, probably on this drive alone, probably 6-7 yards a snap. Every time they've snapped that ball, they've moved it effectively against the Georgia defense.
We talked about Doug Johnson. Here's a look back at some of his highlights. That was the first touchdown, 25-yarder to Travis Taylor. They gave him the 7-0 lead. Then he found Darrell Jackson from 25 again. He scored the third touchdown himself. That made it 21-0. Gillespie with 2 hands around the ball. And with Paul Snelling with 2 hands around him, Gillespie close to a first down. We're not going to take anything for granted now on the first down spots after that problem a moment ago when Carter thought he had run past the marker and in fact had not. That's Billy Young, another backup quarterback who signals in the play. And he talks about what a fascinating experience is to stand next to Steve Spurrier the entire game. He says, I really appreciate what a genius Coach Spurrier is when I hear some of the things that he says during the game and some of the things that he notices.
Oh, I'll bet. How would you like to miss-signal one of those things when you stand next to Steve Spurrier?
Steve says Billy's the best they've ever had at that, but you certainly don't want to make a mistake in that role for Steve. It's not really a glorified position, but Billy enjoys it. He thought about transferring. He got a chance to play in their spring game, led the team on a touchdown drive. The crowd roared. He was the 5th-string quarterback at the time. His dad said, are you sure you really want to transfer? He said, no, I'm going to stay. And he's an important part of the team in that function, because if he does make a mistake, it could be vital.
Well, that's when you have good teams, when everybody accepts their role. Whatever their role is, that's part of being a team member.
Billy's a native of Haines City, Florida, not far from Orlando. He's a junior. Right into the pile goes Gillespie. He is gang tackled at the 11-yard line. Here's Mike Mayock.
Well, speaking of fifth-year walk-ons, don't forget Noah Brindise from last year's team, who ended up playing a lot, and just kind of focus in on how good a guy Steve Spurrier is and what you learn standing next to him. Noah Brindise is now the offensive coordinator for Ursinus College outside of Philadelphia, 1 year out of college.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
You know, you can imagine Noah Brindise, as Mike was saying, standing there next to Steve all those games and learning all those things and then taking it over and taking it to your own team and seeing if it works and how it works.
Johnson's going to let the play clock run down to 1 or 2 and then call a timeout. Back for the third down play. Florida leading by 17 deep in Georgia territory. Florida in position to put this game away, leading by 17. Looking at third down and 7 at the Georgia 10-yard line. They've already done the job on this drive. They've killed 6 minutes and 13 seconds off the clock. John Capel flips the ball to Travis McGriff. Throwing for Doug Johnson. Touchdown! What a play!
Never think that Steve Spurrier doesn't have some trick up his sleeve during the game. I don't care what time of the game it is. Watch the quarterback the whole way, Doug Johnson. When you get down into the scoring zone, nobody ever accounts for the quarterback. And it's a great job of him acting like the play's over, then just sneaking out of the backfield. The pass is well delivered with height and air underneath it. What a play by Florida.
There was an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty after the touchdown. That's the second pass Travis McGriff has thrown this year. He's 2 for 2 with 2 touchdowns. The other one was a 49-yard touchdown. And this one's a 10-yarder to Johnson. What a season Travis McGriff is having in his senior year. They almost didn't snap it quickly enough. Capel's one of the fastest men in college football. And Johnson just did get the snap in time to hand it to him as he went whizzing by. This is going to be a 35-yard extra point now. Billy Young, who we just showed you as the signaler, does come on to field a hold for Jeff Chandler. No problem. Chandler makes the extra point that was 15 yards longer than it needed to be. And Johnson had to be wondering if that ball would ever come down. He knew Glenn Ford was closing, but he caught it in time to give Florida a commanding lead.
NASDAQ College Football on CBS is sponsored by First Union, Web TV, the United States Postal Service, and by the NASDAQ Stock Market.
Florida to kick off. Jeff Chandler. His dad was a track letterman at Georgia. He kicks off for Florida. And he sends it deep to Champ Bailey. About 2 yards deep. He decides to take a knee. I think down by 24. You might as well take the chance and run it out and hope you can make the big play. Here's one more look at the touchdown. Doug Johnson's first career reception.
Well, and Travis McGriff, his second touchdown pass of his season, and what a senior year he's had. He's been able to catch the ball for Steve Spurrier, run reverses, and throw touchdown passes. He's really come on as a senior for Florida.
It has. Usually it's the other way around. Johnson McGriff. This time McGriff to Johnson from 10 yards. And Florida has its largest lead now with 8.5 minutes remaining. Screen to Champ Bailey. And he goes out of bounds at the 28-yard line, 2 yards short of a first down. Today's NASDAQ Scholar Athlete of the game is Colin Cooper, the place kicker from the University of Florida with a 3.46 grade point average in criminology. NASDAQ's commitment to the investment in our future is shown today by the donation of $1,000 to Florida's General Scholarship Fund. It must be a thrill for Colin Cooper to be in this stadium. He is a very big Jacksonville Jaguar fan.
Yeah, it's a beautiful stadium, too.
It sure is.
Oh, my, they've done a great job.
Gator Bowl used to be kind of rundown. The Alltel Stadium is a thing of beauty after it was renovated and renamed for the arrival of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Champ Bailey with a tremendous catch at the 30-yard line of Florida with Tony George in coverage for Florida. A 42-yard gain on the completion Carter to Bailey.
Well, you talk about two outstanding athletes working against each other. Champ Bailey on number 1, Tony George. The ball's just up for grab. Champ Bailey, a great leaper, just goes up, catches it at its highest point.
We talked about it. There are a lot of comparisons being made between Champ Bailey and what he's accomplished this season and what Charles Woodson did at Michigan last year as a two-way player and a special teams player as well. Woodson won the Heisman Trophy. You can make the argument that Bailey's numbers are better. That's Tony Small on the receiving end. And he's down to the 20, very near another first down. Here is the statistical comparison. This was the situation entering today's action. And Bailey's going to have more tackles when the season is over than Woodson had. He probably won't have as many interceptions, but he's much more of a factor on offense than Woodson was.
Much more of a factor offensively, but I think Charles Woodson probably at the end of his career was a better defensive player than maybe Champ Bailey is today. But Champ Bailey has more time, too, if he so elects.
Yes, he is a junior. Some talk about him coming out of school early. Carter zips into the coverage, and Tony George picked it off.
Was a really well-designed play by Georgia. They faked the underneath screen play that they have effectively attacked Georgia with. You can see under number 4, he goes underneath, but then they try to get the ball deep, and all of a sudden the safety, the corner, Tony George, comes in there and picks it off. It's a great play by Tony George.
His 4th interception of the season, and there's his sister. Very proud of that interception by her brother. Injured Gator on the field. We'll tell you about that when we come back.
The CBS star of college football today is sponsored by First Union.
Tim Brando, Greg James here in New York. At Tennessee, they run through the T to open the game. Today, the T ran through South Carolina.
Oh, well put, young man. And T. Martin did get off today. First possession, T. Martin hooks up with wide receiver Jermaine Copeland. 21-yard pass, and they're doing it through the air. Usually it's on the ground. 3rd and goal later. Martin finds Cedric Wilson. Touchdown. 3rd down again. T. Martin finds Peerless Price. Notice the trend? He's moving the football around to different players. They blow him out. That's unbelievable. They blow him out throwing the football at Tennessee.
Now back to the Georgia-Florida game.
Where another talented quarterback has had a big day, Quincy Carter, although this was the low light. Carter telling Gerard Warren, you don't have to block me, he's already found.
That's why he's a quarterback. He's smart.
Eugene McCaslin on the run, and a late flag flies in. I think you have to give McCaslin credit, Coach. He mentioned he's been in and out of trouble around the Florida program, missed the first 3 games of this season for suspension for an unspecified violation of team rules. During that time he was out, he drove himself from Gainesville up to Knoxville so he could be at the stadium to greet the team when they came off the bus. He just wanted to stay involved, show the players that he was still a part of the team. He was thinking of himself as a team leader.
Illegal
about 8 hours.
back by the offense. The penalty will be half the distance to the goal, followed by first down.
And I think, Sean, to his credit, he did that, and to the coach's credit, they kept him involved in the program, and here he is playing again, and some guys just have a hard time getting it all together, they just have a hard time marching with everybody else. And McCaslin's one of those guys.
McCaslin's had to overcome a lot of adversity in his life. When he was 9 years old, his father was killed in a truck driving accident. And Eugene had 2 younger brothers and a younger sister. And he's age 9, and now he has to be really the male head of the household. And that's a great burden to have to carry, that McCaslin did. He's on the sideline now, and his understudy, Robert Gillespie, carried out near the original line of scrimmage at the 12-yard line. 6.5 minutes remaining. Florida on its way to a 7-1 record. Still alive in the national championship picture and the SEC title chase as well. And now they're chasing Gillespie, and Kirby Smart's able to pull him down. You can really see all day that Smart's bothered by the shoulder separation, but give him credit, he stayed in the game all day.
Yeah, Kirby Smart has been hurt. There's no question he has not been as aggressive as he generally is. Gillespie on a little play starts one way and then just counters himself back against the flow of the defense. Here he almost stumbles, but the one thing about Gillespie that I like, he's an aggressive runner. You see him there fending off tacklers with his arms, and he's a tough guy.
And they should get Terry Jackson, their leading rusher, back in the next week or two. Possible he'd play today, but Steve Spurrier said they probably would use him if they didn't have to. Today they haven't had to. Another flag down as Gillespie goes across midfield. The first down of it stands, but it's thrown where you'd expect holding. Here's Mike.
Hey, Sean, not everybody around the SEC likes Steve Spurrier as much as we do. As a matter of fact, the hottest selling T-shirt right now is this one right here. The old Will Rogers quote, "I never met a man I didn't like," and then you turn it around. Well, Will Rogers never met Steve Spurrier. Now, it might not be Cameron Indoor, but it ain't bad.
Well, he certainly has fun with others, and others have fun with him. And he invites some of that because he's not afraid to poke fun at his rivals and fellow coaches, although startingly all week long he and Jim Donnan have had nothing but nice things to say about each other.
Yeah, you know, Steve really speaks his mind. And as you mentioned earlier, that's what you respect about him. He just says what he thinks, and sometimes it does get him in trouble. I love that T-shirt. I'll tell you what, Mike, he's going to get us a few of those, I'm sure.
I saw another one like that. They said, what's the difference between God and Steve Spurrier? And the answer was, God doesn't think he's Steve Spurrier.
Oh.
So there are a few of those selling around the SEC.
You know you're good when they're putting T-shirts like that out on you. You know you're good.
You have to be good for people to work up a healthy venom in your direction. There's one of those T-shirts in the stands. Let's get an update on a very important Big East game between Miami and BC. Here's Tim.
I agree with you, fellas. Spurrier is refreshing. So, too, is Miami. They're a refreshing story. They may be just a year away. Edgerrin James gets in, and BC, remember, they'll be playing Notre Dame on CBS next Saturday. Right now, they're trailing.
We look forward to being in beautiful Chestnut Hill for the renewal of that great rivalry. And BC's on a little bit of a downer right now. Opened the season 3-0, including a big win against Georgia Tech, but they haven't won since. They had a heartbreaking loss by a point last week against Navy. Ball thrown into coverage, looking for John Capel. And Corey Robinson, the backup defensive back, had the coverage. Robinson, the sophomore from Tucker, Georgia. Here are the BCS rankings we spoke of earlier. Florida is going to win today and win impressively. But I'm not sure that they're going to move up very much. Obviously, they need help.
It's hard to move up with the way the rankings are set and the emphasis on the opponent and the league and all the different factors that go into the BCS ranking. It's hard to move up. Unless somebody loses the heavy.
Quick pass. And Gillespie is tackled by Jeff Harris and Adrian Hollingshead. Well, we've been talking about the Gators, think they're still alive, and they know they need help. And here's one possible scenario that could get them into the Fiesta Bowl to play for the national championship. They obviously need help. Teams to deliver a loss to Ohio State and Michigan might be the likeliest. They need UCLA perhaps to lose. K-State has Nebraska. Tennessee has some tough games left with Arkansas and Kentucky in the SEC championship game perhaps. So it's conceivable Florida could play for the national championship without winning the SEC championship.
Sure. Yeah, there's a lot of football ahead of us, but you know, it'll be interesting to see how it all falls out in the end. Maybe the BCS will come out perfectly and they'll have the exact two teams you want, but perhaps it'll be the same old thing that somebody will get left out.
Michael Greer makes a fair catch of a booming punt by Wazlewski. 49-yard punt. Maybe Wazlewski should turn his ankle playing cricket basketball every week. Here's our doubleheaders. Next week, NASDAQ College Football on CBS Sports beginning at noon Eastern Time. Notre Dame is at Boston College, Alabama at LSU. All next Saturday right here on CBS Sports. Notre Dame and BC have had some memorable games in recent years. The coach Holtz, I'm sure he remembers vividly, and the man who coaches in this stadium now, Tom Coughlin, was a part of a very dramatic Boston College win at Notre Dame on David Gordon's last-second field goal.
Looking forward to going to Boston with you, Sean.
Looking forward to having you in our great city.
Biggest man in Boston other than the Kennedys. I'm sure I'm going to be with you.
That is so far from the truth. It's frightening.
You've been telling me that my whole career with you.
I didn't expect you were going to repeat it. Larry Brown on the receiving end, and he's out to the 26-yard line. Just in time, our CBS Sportsline stat of the game. For complete college football coverage, go to cbs.sportsline.com. When they can hold their opponents to 21 or less, the Gators almost perfect under Steve Spurrier and his 9 years. 73-1 with the only loss earlier this year in overtime, 24-21 at Tennessee. You know how that missed 32-yard field goal in overtime must stick in the memory of Gator loyalists. Jermaine Wiggins has that pass from Carter. Well, Carter's had a career day, career highs in completions, attempts, yardage, but it's going to be in a loss.
Yeah, but you're talking about a true freshman quarterback that has such a bright future at the University of Georgia. Playing in the, you know, it's one of the biggest games that he'll play in this season, certainly. And when they play Georgia Tech, that's always another game like the Florida game for the University of Georgia. But, boy, he's handled the pressure well. He's an impressive player.
They still use Champ Bailey. Coach, I'm not sure about this. You have no chance of winning the game. Bailey's been overworked all season long. You know, why bother running the risk of an injury to him right now?
Well, I think that's a very good point. I mean, you bring up a good point, but Jim Donovan, in his mind, Jim's just trying to get some points on the scoreboard. He knows the game's out of hand right now, but he's just trying to effectively get on the board again so he can feel better about the game. I think all of us do that as head coaches. But you bring up a very good point. You're going to need this guy on defense, too.
If he gets hurt right now and couldn't play the rest of the season, he'd really be questioned for leaving Bailey and perhaps Carter, too, in the ball game, in the situation right now. Tonight on CBS, Sammo Hung, TV's newest action star, is back. He's our favorite. And you can see Martial Law, TV's most talked about new program tonight at 9 Eastern, 8 Central, right here on CBS. Still our favorite program, although we are still awaiting our invitation for the guest appearance.
The call will come. I'm confident the call will come.
The NFL guys were on another CBS program, Buddy Farrell. We figure it's only fair that we promote Sammo as much as we can, that the invitation is extended in return. Wiggins, the intended receiver. Johnny Rutledge got a piece of it. And it'll be 3rd down and 10.
On the 48.
Well, maybe that's why Sammo isn't inviting us. I mean, it's only fitting that you weren't a dog. You're a very handsome man, as has been said many times by women as we travel around the Southeastern Conference.
That's not true.
But I love Uga, so I'm happy to wear his likeness on Halloween.
Hey, best mascot in college football, they say, right?
Sports Illustrated said, who are we to argue? Jermaine Wiggins, tackled by Keith Kelsey. It's a 1st down on a 15-yard gain. Florida next in action at Vanderbilt. And they have South Carolina in the big ball game at Florida State. They'll be heavily favored to win the next 2. And that last game could conceivably be the game that affects the bowl championship series situation for those 2 teams, Florida and Florida State.
There's no question in both those teams gearing up with this second half run. Both teams look impressive down the stretch here, both with early losses. That's why people clamor for a playoff.
You're right. This new system that we keep talking about, maybe it's better in creating a bigger likelihood that the 2 best teams will play for the national championship, but it certainly doesn't guarantee it. It certainly runs the risk of excluding teams that might deserve to have the chance to play for the national championship. Until we get a playoff, Coach, this is all still really, to me, a bunch of mumbo-jumbo.
Honestly, it's just another poll. It's just another poll.
Just another more complicated one. Heavy hit, and the ball gets deflected to Marquand Manuel, and he gets drilled by Jermaine Phillips. And Quincy Carter is on it back at the 41-yard line of Georgia. Where there's some collisions on both sides in that exchange. Chico Brown delivered the hit that knocked the ball up in the air and allowed Manuel to intercept it. Then Jermaine Phillips, the backup wide receiver, laid out Manuel. He's still down. Then Quincy Carter recovered that fumble at the 41-yard line.
Well, Sean, anybody that thinks the players have quit playing are wrong. You can tell by the impact of these hits. It's unbelievable. Manuel never sees this hit coming. It just takes him from the side. The ball is knocked loose, but Georgia recovers.
Manuel's back on his feet. He took his helmet off and barked at the Georgia sideline. And he saw the officials warn him to put his helmet back on. He took it off because it was an injury situation, but once you start taunting the other team, you really expected to put that helmet back on. And Manuel is lucky he wasn't flat. Now there's another fumble as Jasper Sanks was stripped by Andre Davis. And here goes Tico Brown down the sideline inside the 10-yard line. So Jasper Sanks, a true freshman appearing in just his second game of the year, getting his first carry. And he was stripped by Davis, and Brown almost scored, running it back for Florida.
Well, everything for Jim Donnan has gone wrong today from the very beginning. This is just an example of a young running back getting into a big game. He hasn't played a lot, and all of a sudden he gets a nice gain, but the ball gets knocked loose, which is not uncharacteristic of young backs. They just strip it loose. Tico Brown on the recovery. Now the question, Sean, if you're Florida, do you try to score with 43 seconds to go and maybe help your ranking in the BCS, or do you just take a knee because you have the game won?
Well, to me, there's very little difference between 38-7 and 31-7 if you're a pollster looking at this. Florida has had the edge in play. The decisive victory on national TV. I don't really think they'd influence their position vis-a-vis any of the other teams by scoring one more time. I think they should take a knee. We'll see what they do with Larry Rehart expected to be a quarterback when we come back. Larry Rehart at quarterback. And Florida is trying to score again clearly. John Capel scores. So we don't know if the BCS rankings, the writers and coaches poll rankings are playing into this decision, but you raised the coach, and it's a great point. And I'm not sure that Jim Donnan really likes it.
Well, I think, you know, every coach is a little different, you know. I mean, in that kind of particular situation, you know, a lot of coaches would take a knee. Some guys just say, hey, the game's for 60 minutes. We're going to play all 60 minutes, and your job is to stop us. So, you know, whatever philosophy you adopt. But certainly, you always remember that as a player on the other side. And Jim Donnan will use that next year when he tries to get ready for the Gators, and the Gators know that.
Well, if this system encourages teams to run up the score, then that's just yet another flaw with this system. And it's been done in the past, even before this BCS came into existence. Teams would run it up just to try to impress the pollsters, even without the BCS. Come down and watch Capel go into the end zone with almost no reaction.
I think that's a real good point, John. It's been done way before the BCS poll,
Yes.
and I'm no big fan of the BCS poll, but it's been done just to impress pollsters, whether it's a coach's poll or whether it's a writer's poll.
Well, give credit to those coaches who don't try to pile it up at the end of the game. They're certainly doing the sportsman-like thing. I agree with you. There are some coaches who disagree. Coach Lou Holtz told us a great story about when he was at William & Mary, went up to play his good friend Bobby Bowden when Bobby was at West Virginia. West Virginia kind of piled it on. At the end, Lou ran over to shake hands and said, a little disappointed that you did that, Bobby. I can't believe you did it. And he said, hey, Coach, it's your job to keep the score down, not mine.
And I think Steve Spurrier feels exactly like that. And it depends what sideline you're on. I've been on both sidelines, I guarantee you. And I've also been on the sideline that took a knee or where I tried to score at the end of the game and told the other guy, hey, we're playing for 60 minutes, you know. So it cuts both ways. I think when the game's over, you don't remember it very long, I promise you. You just kind of go on to the next point.
So we talked about teams ahead of the Florida Gators in the rankings. One of them, Nebraska. Our understanding now, we just had a note that Nebraska lost today to Texas.
Huge.
So that'll help the Florida BCS situation.
Boy, and you got to wonder how that helps Ricky Williams in the Heisman race as well with that kind of a big win, too. I mean, that helps him, certainly.
All of a sudden, they're 6-2.
Yeah.
The Texas Longhorns on their way to a bowl, it would seem, under Mack Brown. Well, they tried to onside kick and recover, and then you know they're really trying to run it up. Chandler first will pick it away. This is LeBron Mitchell to take a knee. With 38 seconds left. Tomorrow on the NFL Today, presented by Southwest Airlines, Join Jim Nance, Micah Allen, Brent Jones, and George Seifert for all the latest NFL news and information. That's tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. And don't forget to stay with the gentlemen at halftime for the NASDAQ NFL Halftime Report. Travis McGriff and the Gators go to 7-1 with this victory. Georgia falls to 6-2. Two Dogs defeats against two teams that really still do set the bar for the SEC, Florida and Tennessee.
No question about it. And Georgia's a young team. They're going to have real success with Quincy Carter as the future goes on.
Well, John England at quarterback. It looked like Patrick Pass juggled it for a moment and then looked over his shoulder to see if he really wanted to catch the ball or not, because he had to know that there were defenders coming. I mean, for a moment he juggled it, and then it looked like he turned to say, maybe I should just give up because I'm about to get walloped.
Well, Pass just kind of, as you said, he turned
around.
Yeah, he took his hands, I mean, his eyes. Yeah, he took his eyes off that ball. All of a sudden, he just couldn't quite get a handle on that hot potato.
There's John England, the junior from Duluth, Georgia. It was part of the battle. It was not cut right that Quincy Carter was going to be the quarterback in the preseason. They won a spirited battle among 3 or 4 candidates, including England. That was Robert Arnaud, the ball carrier, on what might be the last play of the game. All career highs for Carter, but he won't be happy because it comes in a convincing loss. Final seconds tick off in Jacksonville. Florida avenges last year's defeat to the Georgia Bulldogs, and the Gators win it 38-7. Certainly Jim Donnan didn't say anything to Steve Spurrier about the last touchdown. He wasn't all upset about it. Here's Mike Mayock.
Coach, now down at the end, does the Bowl Championship Series and the way everything is set up right now, does that influence your decision on whether or not you run the reverse there at the end?
That wasn't a reverse. That was a little quick play. John Capel is our about 7th team wide receiver. So it's just a little run around the end. No. But I tell you what, this game was a lot closer than the final score. Georgia moved it against our defense a lot better than almost anybody all year, but we're fortunate enough to stop them down in there tight. So we're fortunate what the score is.
Can you keep everybody focused before Florida State?
Yeah, we've got Vandy, South Carolina, 2 conference games, and then before that one. So we got 3 left. We're going to try to play the best we can, see where we are at the end of the season. That's all we can do.
Big win, Coach. Congratulations.
Thank you. Proud of our players.
Well, Coach kind of dodged the question there a little bit. It might not have been a reverse, as Steve objected to the question, but he could have taken a knee. And Mike's standing by now with Travis McGriff.
Thank you, Sean. Travis McGriff, congratulations, first of all, being named to the Biletnikoff semifinalist list. What an honor and great game tonight.
It was a big win for us. You know, obviously we lost this game last year, and you know, this is the University of Florida's one of the biggest rivalries, and I think we played pretty well, and obviously are very happy with the win.
What do the players think about this new Bowl Championship Series?
You know, to be honest, we don't pay much attention to it. All we can do is go play good and let the pieces fall where they may, and you know, as of right now, we're kind of in control of our own destiny if we keep winning, so hopefully we'll do that.
Hey, Travis, congratulations. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thanks a lot.
Sean?
Thank you, Mike. Well, the Florida Gators are victorious. The final score, Florida 38 and Georgia 7. Now for Mike Mayock and Terry Donahue, I'm Sean McDonough saying so long from Alltel Stadium in Jacksonville, Florida. Stay tuned for the College Football Today post-game show right after this.
All right, before the ghouls and goblins get out, let's talk first about college football. Welcome to our studios in New York. I'm Tim Brando for the College Football Today post-game report. Tonight on CBS, it's early edition at 8 o'clock Eastern and Pacific, followed by Martial Law and Walker, Texas Rangers. That's all coming up tonight on CBS. Our final, 38-7, a statement game indeed for Steve Spurrier. And as I turn to my partners, Craig James and Lou Holtz, Lou, you were all over this. You said it would be a runaway, and it was.
Well, I just felt that Florida just playing awfully well. They eliminate the fumbles, and they play well on the goal line. When they do that, they're as good as anybody in the country.
Did he call us ghouls and goblins? Hey, all I know in this ball game, Jim Donna's been going in the backyard of Steve Spurrier and recruiting and stealing some good football players. This was a big game for Steve Spurrier to maintain his dominance right now in the recruiting wars.
Tough for the top teams today to lose their spot in the BCS because of the opponents they were playing. Ohio State and Indiana, this is a good example. Buckeyes win. Indiana's better, but Ohio State has owned this series for some time. 38-7, the final. Stanford and UCLA, this game just underway. Look out, Cardinal up on the Bruins 7-0. Kansas State taking on Kansas today, the rivalry game. Wildcats looking for their 16th win in a row. Michael Bishop trying to take the bad news off the junior college player.
Well, their defense also hit Zach Wechter, and he's knocked out the football game, needed 25 stitches. But this Bishop's really special. You're going to see a 1-yard touchdown pass. That's a nice touch right here to tight end Justin Swift, putting them up 30-6, and they just keep putting it on. Bishop scores his 3rd touchdown of the game, 2nd on the ground with a 9-yard scamper, 54-6. That's impressive.
320 yards total offense. Bishop, because he's a junior college player, most people didn't know him until we had him in the Fiesta Bowl last year. They knocked off Kansas big. Tennessee and South Carolina. Volunteers don't generally run it up, but today against the lowly Gamecocks, they were able to get that done for Bill Fulmer.
I think they ran it up because this guy was incredible today. T. Martin on 3rd finds Cedric Wilson for a touchdown, then 3rd down again. Martin finds Peerless Price. That made it 21-0. T. Martin was as hot as anybody has ever been in college football. He finds Peerless Price here. That's the 23rd pass in a row. That is a record, my friends, for consecutive passes. Who's he calling? I bet he called Peyton Manning, his old friend, and said, hey, guess what I did today? Phil Crosby then takes it in, and Tennessee romps through the air. And T. Martin.
Ball 7-0 for the first time since '69. Texas and Nebraska. Look out. Those mundane weekends sometimes will offer up a surprise. And here's another one. Cornhuskers with some ghouls and goblins to deal with.
Ooh, was that an ugly face? And it was an ugly game all the way around for the offense most of the time. But Eric Crouch came in. The redshirt freshman, 37 yards. It was Nebraska 13-10. Then Texas, 3rd quarter. Major Applewhite finds a receiver down the sideline. Hey, the guy just messed up in coverage. This was a humongous play, needless to say. Made it 13 off. Then late in the 4th quarter, Texas takes the lead on a 2-yard pass from Major. They call him General now. Applewhite. Wayne McGarity. Texas took the lead 20-16. And I would say, needless to say, has big ramifications for the whole country.
No doubt. Williams, the NCAA's 2nd all-time leading rusher now behind Dorsett, had 161 yards today. Now, the BCS standings. At first glance, guys, you would think this win by Texas would upset Kansas State just a bit, but think again, my friends.
Well, I think that Kansas State is just playing so well. I know they have a difficult schedule ahead, but I think they're playing better than Ohio State, better than anybody else.
Yeah, and you may think initially that this hurts, you know, the Kansas State playing against Nebraska. But now, if Texas A&M beats Texas, that makes an even bigger opponent in Texas A&M playing Kansas State, perhaps, in the Big 12 championship game.
Absolutely. You add up Missouri to play after Nebraska for Kansas State, then conceivably Texas A&M in the Big 12 title game. Now, Arkansas and Auburn, respect. That's what the Hogs want, and they were able to get it today, Lou, for old Houston Nutt, who used to play for you.
Well, this was a very physical game. Quarterback Gabe Gross is going to connect here with Karsten Bailey on the slant. Tremendous speed there by Karsten Bailey. You had to be impressed with the effort of the Auburn football players. But great football teams, and I think Arkansas's approach to that just doesn't give up. Here's a little trickery, a wraparound draw to Eric Branch. He gets into the end zone. You just see it's a tough physical football game, and that's what you need to do to win in the SEC.
Hey, give quarterback coach Joe Ferguson some credit for helping Clint Sterner become a quality SEC quarterback under Houston Nutt. LSU loses for the 4th time this year, the 2nd time in overtime.
You know, LSU, they come into this ball game, and this was a slugfest. 4th and goal, running out of time. Herb Tyler finds Rondell Mealy, 21 unanswered points in the 4th quarter. Then in overtime, that's where they got to get it done. Romaro Miller finds Corey Peterson. The ball's going to pop loose on the goal line, but Peterson gets it back in the end zone, completes the 25-yard play. They missed the extra point, 37-31. Then on 4th and goal, Herb Tyler tries to hit Larry Foster, but wrong. Taylor breaks it up. And a little exuberation, I'd call it.
You talk about payback on Halloween. You think about Billy Cannon. You think of the 1-second blues. Now you think about Ole Miss getting some redemption. Now the SEC West standings. What does this mean? Good news for Arkansas as they continue to roll on. And for Ole Miss, they get the Razorbacks next week. That could help the Hogs before they play Tennessee in 2 weeks.
You know, the thing about it, though, you look at this deal, I look at it, and the thing that strikes out to me just as incredible is 2-4 LSU. Jerry DiNardo is going to catch some kind of grief. You're from down there, and I guarantee you, DiNardo's got heat coming.
Hey, when somebody wins, somebody loses. Arkansas 7-0, you can't. Everybody be undefeated.
Right, but LSU's supposed to be winning, man. LSU's a team we all thought would be 7-0.
Fellas,
Other than Arizona State, there's not a team that's been more disappointing. They were number 7 preseason, and now he's talking about long-term for his program. The fans on the Bayou don't like hearing that.
No, they don't like to do that. You know, the thing that will happen that comes out in the BCS ratings this next time is that the Nebraska loss is going to have a real shake-up effect, and that strength of schedule is going to continue to change.
Okay, well, before they run us off the air, LSU still has to play University of Arkansas. That'll be another tough one. Plus Notre Dame. The worst may be yet to come.
Their bowl chances took a big hit today. Well, don't forget, be sure to join us next Saturday at noon Eastern for a NASDAQ college football doubleheader on CBS. Number 16 Notre Dame takes on BC, followed by an SEC rivalry. Alabama hasn't lost on the Bayou since Richard Nixon was president. The football action continues tomorrow with the NFL on CBS. It's regional coverage. Many of you will see Denver take on Cincinnati. Check local listings. And as always, the day begins at noon Eastern with the NFL Today. Now, for Craig James and for Lou Holtz, this is Tim Brando. My ghouls, my goblins, enjoy your trick-or-treating, everyone. Have a very happy Halloween. We'll see you next week.
Are you telling me you think that Arkansas
The address is CBS. Welcome home.
In a rivalry renewed, the Gators jump out early and don't look back. Stay with us. A live report from the stadium where Florida wins 38-7.
And our live team coverage continues as frenzied football fans feast on post-game goodies.
And you better check the Halloween treats your youngsters are devouring tonight. We've got news of an important candy recall you need to know about. It's all next on News Channel 4.
From WJXT News Channel 4, this is Eyewitness News.
The rivalry returns to the River City with the Gators bent on revenge. As soon as the border battle began, they took a bite out of the Bulldogs and never looked back. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our special hour-long edition of Eyewitness News. I'm Joy Purdy.
And I'm Rob Sweeting. The big story, the historical turf war between Florida and Georgia on the gridiron. The Gators were bent on a blowout, and that's pretty much what they got.
We have live team coverage tonight. Rebecca Wu is at RV City. Stacy Spanos is just outside the gates in the frenzy of fans. And Sam Kavaris kicks things off with a game wrap-up. Sam.
Joy and Rob, good evening from Alltel Stadium, where the Florida Gators have just won 38-7 in a rivalry that may have been renewed last year, but Florida looked like the 96 team, particularly in the first quarter. 21 unanswered points in the first quarter, and it looked like they may run away with it. They never really were challenged after that, and Florida wins 38-7. Steve Spurrier had pointed at this game as a game where the Gators needed to be fired up and come out early. They did just that. Jacksonville's Travis Taylor with a touchdown from 25 yards out to make it 7-0. Darrell Jackson with a 25-yard catch from Doug Johnson to make it 14-0. Doug Johnson himself on the ground also scored a touchdown to make it 21-0. And then late in the game, Florida comes up with some trickery, as they seem to do with the heavyweight champion of the world, Goldberg, on the sidelines. Travis McGriff gets the pitch and throws it to, Doug Johnson. Touchdown, 31-7, 38-7 the final.
This game could have been a lot closer. If Georgia scores right before half, starts second half, heck, it's 21-all. So we were fortunate to stop them down there a couple times. And they moved the ball in our defense a lot better than anybody, I think, all year. But we got some breaks, got some things going our way. And, heck, somehow that ended up 38-7.
That first quarter offense looked like the Gators of old.
Well, I thought, gee, we got a chance to really play a complete game like the old days. We had 21 in the first quarter, had a chance to have 35 at half. We fumbled down here, and then Doug throws an interception on a play. But anyway, but then they hogged the ball on us. Georgia had it about the whole second quarter and first half the third. But we were fortunate. We made a few plays here and there.
Couple of plays here and there. In fact, the big plays by Georgia that they did not convert probably meant the difference in this ball game. The Bulldogs had an opportunity at the end of the first half but fumbled. They had an opportunity at the beginning of the second half and missed a field goal. Georgia did not play a bad ball game, but they could not put it in the end zone, while Florida did exactly the opposite. Didn't turn it over but once and ended up scoring 38 points. 38-7 the final, as the Gators avenged last year's loss after 7 consecutive wins. We'll have plenty of post-game with the players. More from Steve Spurrier. We'll hear from Matt Morrison live as well, so stay with us. We'll be back at the stadium as well. Stacy Spanos is here, as well as Rebecca Wu. Joy?
All right, thanks, Sam. We'll see you in a little bit. And a sea of frenzied fans is already filtering from Alltel Stadium as we speak. That is where we pick up our live team coverage with Stacy Spano. Stacy.
Good evening, Joy. This is a very dangerous spot to be, but I think we've got the best-mannered fans around. We asked them to keep it down a little bit, and they certainly did. Yes, the Georgia Bulldog fans are a little bit depressed, but all in all, everybody seems to be in a very good mood out here, especially the Gator fans. Let's take a look at this, gentlemen. What is your name, sir?
R. Gator from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Gator.
R. Gator. That's my moniker, yes.
And as you can see, he's got, let's turn and show you the earrings here, and the little cap here, and the tattoo even. Gator freak! But let's take one look over to the left. We found somebody just a little bit weirder here than our Gator, and we've got the Gator twins here. Girls? Why did you decide to dress up like this? For the team. Spirit. Yeah. You guys go to the University of Florida? No. How old are you? 14. 14. My goodness, and we've got shoes and everything. Are you gonna keep this for tonight for Halloween? Yeah. Okay, I told you we had some weird folks out here, but all in all, a pretty mild-mannered crowd. We are having a lot of fun out here. We're gonna toss it back to you to the studio before it gets a little bit more.
Well, fans are also all revved up and ready to party at RV City. Our team coverage continues right now with Rebecca Wu, who joins us live with more. Rebecca?
Hi, Rob. Fans are just starting to trickle back here in RV City, and as you can hear, Gator fans are gloating over their win. Many will be starting their victory feast now, while the dogs will have to swallow their loss. We caught up with some fans a little earlier today, and this is what we found. Every year, you'll hear the traditional chants.
It's great to be a Florida Gator. That is great to be a Florida Gator.
And then there are others.
Ain't nothing finer in the land. Ain't nothing finer in the land. Down drunk up knock your Georgia fans. Drunk up knock your Georgia fans.
And some are just out of this world. While tens of thousands of fans head to the stadium, others stand guard in their territory. This Gator group has staked out this corner for the past 11 years, and it even comes equipped with a loaded bar.
Just keeps disappearing.
Somehow, right?
Somehow, yeah. You know how it is.
And then it's your job to keep refilling it.
That's why I'm here.
The Georgia-Florida game is a big rivalry, but some fans manage to coexist peacefully.
They know they can't holler too loud because they're watching the Dogs TV set.
Gator beer, Bulldog TV.
But it can get tense. This Gator dog couple has been married for 25 years. So what's it like?
What do you think it's like?
No matter how many years you've been a dog or Gator fan, it's never too early to start rooting for your team. And it's never too early for these fans here at RV City to start partying again, especially for the Gators. We're live from RV City right next to Alltel Stadium. I'm Rebecca Wu.
And stay with us throughout the hour for continuing coverage of the Florida-Georgia border battle. We'll head back out to RV City and hear more from the fans coming up. And, of course, we'll check back in with Sam and Matt with more coach and player reaction.
A look at the rest of today's news is straight ahead. Keeping your weekend celebration safe. We have some important food recalls you need to know about.
And we'll visit a haunted house where the fake frights form a real-life message. This is News Channel 4.
Now for sports with Sam Kubaris.
After 7 consecutive wins, Georgia came up with a victory last year at the stadium, winning by 20 points over the Florida Gators. Florida pointed at this game, saying it was important not only for the SEC, but important in terms of rivalry. Sure, they like to beat Florida State, they like to beat Auburn, they like to beat all the other people that seem to point to Florida, but it's the Georgia game that Steve Spurrier keeps deep in his heart. And today, he knew that this was a game that Florida had an opportunity to jump out early, and that's just what they did. Goldberg, the heavyweight wrestling champion of the world, former Georgia Bulldog player, leads the Dogs out while the Gators come out, currently ranked 6th in the country. Florida arrives to their first touchdown. Doug Johnson to Travis Taylor, 25 yards out, 7-0, Gators on top. Doug Johnson with a very strong day. In fact, 25 of 34 with 1 interception. Here's the touchdown pass to Darrell Jackson for a 14-0 lead. Georgia, what were they early? They were cold early is exactly what they were. They couldn't get much. Well, maybe that's why. They were on ice, in fact. Javon Curse, how good is he? One of the best linebackers in the country, probably, including those in the National Football League. Doug Johnson with a touchdown of his own to give Florida a first quarter 21-0 lead. Georgia cuts into that with a Ronnie Bradley touchdown for Georgia to make it 21-7. But with Georgia about to score, Jacksonville's Tony Small gets the little dink pass. He looks like he may get in the end zone, but instead, the ball is fumbled and recovered by the Gators, and that kills some momentum right there, and Georgia is down 21-7 at halftime. Go to the second half highlights as Georgia comes out hot once again. Tony Small trying for some redemption. Very hot play early on. Georgia has an opportunity once again to score. They get it down. They can't get it in the end zone, so they call on the field goal unit. All they got to do is dink this in, and the time is on their side. Can't do it. Wide left. Georgia still down 21-7. 3rd and 10, Florida's able to convert. They were 6th in the conference in third down conversions coming into this game. It seemed like they made every single one of them. This one to Travis Taylor for a first down. 4th down for Georgia on the other hand, and the Bulldogs cannot get it. Watch as Carter comes up. Looks like he's about to step over the line for a first down. The referee marks it. They bring the chains out, and it's not enough. That really killed the momentum there. And then Florida reaches into their bag of tricks. The handoff, the pitch, McGriff with the ball, and the throw. Hello. Doug Johnson with a touchdown, 31-7 at that point. Florida scored late to make it 38-7, but they were also able to keep Georgia out of the end zone with a Tony George interception right here at the goal line as Florida goes up with a 38-7 victory over the Georgia Bulldogs.
But as a whole, I would say this is probably the best game we've played, and hopefully we can keep progressing from here and look like we used to. Obviously, the extra week helped, but, you know, this is stuff we always have. It's just, you know, what defenses they're playing and when do we run it. But this is stuff we always have in.
The receivers caught everything, ran good routes, and but we were very fortunate that Georgia didn't score all those times up and down the field. We had to put the old bend but don't break defense in tonight, but certainly the final numbers, the only thing everybody cares about.
38-7, of course, the final, and with Nebraska losing, there is going to be a shakeup somewhere in the poll. Florida may get an opportunity to move up. This game was seen virtually all over the nation, and Florida, with the dominance in the first half, might have impressed some of the voters to move them up in the poll a little bit. We'll see what happens with Florida State tonight, of course, as well against North Carolina. The defense for Florida was much vaunted coming into this game, and although Georgia was able to exploit some things, they never gave up the points when they needed to. It was a 3rd and 1, or 3rd and inches, actually, and Carter can't get it. Javon Curse with a tackle and a sack here. I mean, Curse continued to dominate. He had to leave the game in the 3rd quarter with some leg cramps, but once he came back in, he was continued to be a force. 4th and 6, Georgia does not make it as the Gator defense comes up just big time on a 4th down. See this? Carter goes, and see everybody all of a sudden converge on him. Looked like he's going to get it, but then Florida's team speed is just too much, and they can't get the 4th down. Keith Kelsey knocks down Champ Bailey here. This is the kind of play that Florida was hoping for, to be able to contain Bailey in the open field, and they did just that on many occasions. And then here's the play that probably turned the game. Georgia looks like they're about to make it 21-14, but instead the fumble. Nice play by Tony George, and the ball is recovered by the Gators, and the momentum in the air seemed to be taken out right there. Also, George with the interception on the goal line here, as they might have made a game of it in the 4th quarter, but they could not. And Tico Brown always seems to be around the ball. He grabs a fumble recovery of the Georgia Bulldogs, who turn the ball over too often, were not opportunistic, and Florida was exactly the opposite. They had the 1 interception. They converted on 3rd downs. They did the things they need to do in order to keep the drives alive, and that's why Florida comes up with a 38-7 victory. One of the key guys in the game, particularly early in this game, was Jacksonville native Travis Taylor. Travis, of course, had lived in Georgia but played high school football here in Jacksonville, and Taylor was one of the tough guys and one of the big guys for the Florida Gators in this game. Taylor came in knowing that a lot of people were going to be watching and did just that, caught a touchdown pass there. Taylor gets the ball, and Florida likes to get Taylor in the open spaces, and that's exactly what they did today. Let him run a little bit, let him get some yards after catch. He held on to the football today, so Travis Taylor, one of the key guys for the Florida Gators, as they walk away with a 38-7 victory. Doug Johnson has some redemption in this game as well. As I said, threw the ball 34 times, completed 25, and had just the one interception. Turnovers were obviously a key in this game. Florida came in ranked 102nd in the NCAA in turnovers. They had turned the ball over nearly more than anybody who was ranked in the top 10. But Florida turned the ball over here with Alex Willis in the fumble, and you said, oh, now they're going to get back to that. But they did not. In fact, Doug Johnson just threw the one interception. Jeff Harris grabs it in the end zone. He, of course, also of Jacksonville. But the Gators created turnovers of their own. And again, this play, can't emphasize it enough. Florida looks like they're going to have the opportunity. You see number one grab the ball and spin it out as they create the turnover there. Although the defense did not score today, they still did have the opportunity to stop Georgia in some very opportune times and did just that. 38-7 the final. Georgia suffers their second loss of the year, now losing to Tennessee and Florida, while Florida still has the only loss, the one loss, and that's to Tennessee. Tennessee also a big winner today, so they still are sitting in a catbird seat in the Southeastern Conference, and particularly in the SEC East. Big ACC game tonight as North Carolina plays against Florida State. The Seminoles know that they have to win in the conference in order to keep things alive. The Seminoles are currently ranked 5th in the country, and they have every opportunity to move up with a big night tonight.
When you're in a conference, they're all important. Because if you lose a conference game, it's a loss. I don't care who it's to. It's a loss. We've already lost one. We lose two. We're out.
We've lost the ACC game, and we really don't need to lose another one. Right now, we're pretty much right now to be co-champions for the ACC title. And if we lose, that kind of drops us out of even the contention for an ACC championship.
Players are just now coming out of the locker room after meeting with the coaches. We'll hear from some of the players as well coming up as they're holding their post-game press conferences right now. We'll be live here at the stadium. Matt Morrison has been with the players as well. We'll hear from him live as well, so stay with us as our full hour of post-game for Florida-Georgia does continue. Robin Joy?
Well, the weather is holding up nicely for both football fans and trick-or-treaters.
What about the rest of the weekend? Beth will let us know in a minute.
Disappointing loss for the Dogs. Sam is standing by with Jim Donnan, Georgia's head coach. Sam?
Thank you, Rob. Jim Donnan, the head coach of Georgia. Jim, once you survived that original onslaught, you seem to figure some things out, but just could not stick it in the end zone.
Well, we had some trouble, Sam, getting it in the end zone. Give the Gators a lot of credit. You know, they made some plays there when they had to, and they came out very emotionally charged, did a good job of attacking our defense, and we didn't make many good plays in the open field there early. But, you know, they're a very good football team, and if they don't stop themselves, there's not many teams that can beat them.
You created some opportunities for yourselves and then turned the ball over.
Well, we did, and we missed the field goal there. You know, it's 21-7. We dropped it on about the 3 and then missed the field goal. You know, they got a great front. Their defensive front is awesome, and Coach Stoop is coaching around. They got some younger guys in the secondary, and they don't have the cover guys they've had. So they give you an opportunity to throw the ball if you can protect, but they give you so much maximum heat that you know, you got to mix it up. We didn't score enough points today. We had some opportunities, just didn't get them.
The game, once again, very emotionally charged here in Jacksonville.
Well, it should be. You know, maybe we got the rivalry back a little bit. At least our fans thought we had a chance. But, you know, and I felt like we did too. But, you know, we're catching up in some areas, but in others we got a long way to go. And, you know, we just understand that, you know, to play a team like Florida, I mean, you know, if they play like that against Tennessee, you know, who knows what would happen. But you got to give Tennessee the credit. They've won the games they needed to.
Jim, thanks.
Okay,
good luck for the rest of the year.
Thanks.
All right, appreciate it. Jim Donnan, the head coach at the University of Georgia. Of course, last year, as he said, perhaps instilled a little more of the rivalry here. But today, the Florida Gators are up 38-7. We'll hear from some of the players here in a couple of minutes. Joy?
It's a war between the states with so much at stake this year. The Gators reclaim the bragging rights.
Our live team coverage of the Florida-Georgia game continues right now. Sam Kavaris, Rebecca Wu, and Stacey Spanos are spread out at the best vantage points across the stadium. We begin with Sam, who has a wrap-up of the game. Sam.
Joy, the game, of course, went not according to plan, according to Georgia fans, but Florida fans liked what they saw. In fact, it was reminiscent of the games that they've played here in the past 7 years, with the exception of last year. Matt Morrison was here, of course, during the game as well. Matt, you spent the day on the sidelines. and you could kind of feel it when they came out. Florida definitely was more emotionally charged than they were last year.
They were, and they were hitting on all cylinders. The statistics show that Georgia had an excellent game. In fact, their numbers actually show out better than Florida's, but the Gators had the ability to score points quickly.
Who would have ever thought that in this game the ball would be in the air 83 times between the two quarterbacks?
Doug Johnson had an excellent game throwing up passes early and often, and Travis Taylor was the big guy early with the 25-yard touchdown, and he had a big game, the sophomore out of Ribault High School. Darrell Jackson later in the first quarter, and it was 14-0. You can feel right here that the Gators really were clicking, probably as good as they have all season, Sam.
Doug Johnson did his work on the ground as well. He sticks it in to make it 21-0. And the Gators, after they held it at halftime to make it 21-7, Travis McGriff gets the pitch, throws it to Doug Johnson for the touchdown. That made it 31-7 at that point. Gators tacked on a late touchdown to make it 38-7, and Florida avenges last year.
But really proud of our players, hung in there. We didn't play our best game ever. Score a little bit misleading probably, but certainly we're happy to get us a victory.
I think so far it's been my best game. Come back home, having a good game in front of my whole, family and friends, and just came out and had a good game.
We didn't focus in on Quincy Carter. We didn't really focus in on Champ Bailey. We just focused in on them as a team and as an offense, and I think we did a great job.
A week off to worry about it. Coaches will be after us a little bit, but you need that pressure. That makes that's what the mark of a great football team, to see how they bounce back off a tough loss.
Quincy Carter completing 33 of 49 passes, over 360 yards. He had a good game. Champ Bailey had nearly 100 yards in receiving, and he was all over the place on defense. But the Gators, as I said, 21 points quickly, and the Dogs were doing it from behind all.
962 yards of offense in this game. Pretty amazing out here. Florida is a 38-7 winner. Fans obviously are still very happy, and they'll be around for a while. Stacey Spanos knows that. Stacey?
Sam, they definitely are hanging around, especially the Gator fans. If you can look and see behind us, this is where the Gator football team has slowly been trickling out, and fans are waiting right here, congratulating them and telling them what a great job they did in beating the Georgia Bulldogs 38-7. You may ask, why do people still come out here after all these years? It can get hot. Some of the fans can be annoying. You can get sweaty. Well, we found a group of people who come